morning, Squirt Nation. It's You Up with Nikki Glaser. It's Tuesday. Is that right? Feels
right.
like a Wednesday. Does everyone else feel like it feels like a Wednesday? Tom?
I was giving somebody advice because they had a thing today, and I was like, well, it'll be Wednesday anyway, so who cares? And everybody was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yep. It supports my theory that when you feel like it is a different day of the week, generally everyone is on board.
Yeah.
Or you're just a person who only surrounds themselves with people that agree with them.
Yeah, that could be it.
Thank you.
Yes, people.
Thank you for agreeing
right,
with
Nikki.
that. There is someone out there that is like a person like that is just like everyone just like always sees it my way and wants to eat the same places
Beyonce.
I want to eat. Yeah. Or like I've been that way before. Andrew Collin is here.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
I've been that way to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thai food? Sure.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
But no, okay.
We like that. We go there
No, we
without
love
you.
Thai.
is
I
the
would
thing.
never want to thrust my food choices on anyone.
I know. I love
but
Thai food.
As long as everyone's on board.
No,
let's
we go to
do
that
it.
place without you.
Yeah,
so
I'm going there today.
Yeah.
I'm making a bunch of comics who definitely want just to eat sandwiches go to like a healthy Thai place today, and yeah, because it's just that place is good, right?
It is good. And it
Right?
has a
It's fine.
chandelier.
It has a chandelier in a glass box in the middle of the restaurant. Like they're like celebrating the chandelier that once was something.
Yeah. It's very
And they're
fancy for
rude
$8
there.
noodles.
Oh, yeah. I like
Remember
that
the
they're
time we
rude.
went there?
Dude, they're rude like every time.
Every single
Yeah,
you walk in and they roll their eyes.
Yeah, you're talking about the table thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened last time we were there, and I was like, let's just leave the table wobbly because I don't want to
Oh,
make that guy
boy.
mad
Oh,
again.
wobbly
Yeah, we
table.
made a waiter mad because Tom and I were at a wobbly table and we set out to fix it ourselves, and he like did this like the heavy sighing and was just like knocked us out of the way to like do it himself, and it was just
Yeah.
like it was I hated that
How
guy.
are you going to have
and
a wobbly table
Oh, yeah.
at a restaurant?
I know.
in this day and
I
age?
agree. I get furious about wobbly tables.
I'm going to start bringing
They're
backup
everywhere.
tables.
How do
with
they
me to
start?
restaurants.
Yeah, how does it start getting wobbly?
And why isn't there like a device that everyone can carry around in their wallet? I mean, I guess there is.
just a
There's like
wallet.
sugar packets.
Oh, yeah, I
Or
guess
yeah, a
that's it.
wallet.
A wallet.
Yeah. In the studio, I'm so excited to have him here. I'm reluctant to even intro him because once we get started on this guy, you're not going to want to stop knowing things about him. Literally one of the most interesting people I've ever met. I knew having him on the show would be just a plethora of stories and things to talk about. I've known this guy since college, my sophomore year of college, so a really long time. In studio today is podcaster, writer, author. What else? You do everything. Wrestling manager. I don't know what you're. We're gonna find out everything you're doing, but it's Dan Reichert, everyone. Dan Reichert.
Dan.
That intro is a lot to live up to.
I
That's
will
a lot.
say plethora is how Andrew says pleasure.
Oh, that. He wants to plethora a woman someday.
Oh, man.
You'll never plethora a woman.
I'm just
not
sad.
true.
I don't even want to talk anymore. Can we talk about Dan? What's going on with Dan?
I do want to talk about Dan. Dan, you know him from his podcast. It's Panning the Stream. It's available on iTunes. His memoir, The Dumbest Kid in the Gifted Class, is also available on Amazon. Do you have another book, too?
Anxiety is an Ally is like the one serious thing I think I've ever done professionally,
Yeah.
which is just a book about how I've dealt with panic disorder and general anxiety disorder.
I love
the
it.
rest is all nonsense, but that's the one I took pretty seriously.
I really want to get into anxiety stuff. We love talking about self-help stuff on the show. First, I just want to kind of intro you and get through all the crazy shit you've done. Should we start with our origin story?
Right.
Okay. So we met in college at a party, at a house
on
party.
Louisiana.
On Louisiana.
In Lawrence, Kansas.
And
yeah.
in Lawrence, Kansas. Yes, at the University of Kansas. And I don't remember the specifics of how we started talking to each other, but it was comedy related.
We talked about comedy. You were talking about how you were just getting started. You were doing a lot of stuff at Stanford and Sons in Johnson County.
Yes.
Back when it was on Metcalf there.
Yes,
And
behind the Hooters. It was the open mic I was doing every other Tuesday.
Right,
there.
I remember I helped you film a couple of sets there because I was the film dork back then. I had a camera,
Yep.
and
you were doing like the local TV station, like you were doing comedy shows. You had a show.
I had a sketch comedy show at the time, and you were doing stand up. And you said, I think you said, in 5 years you're going to see me on Comedy Central, and I said in 5 years you're going to see me at Game Informer magazine, this video game magazine.
Yeah, we both like shared our goals that night. I remember we were like in right off the kitchen in a packed house party. Like
Yep,
it was
yep.
dark, and there was like maybe black lights. I don't know.
Perhaps. It was college.
Like,
it was a party, probably.
Yeah. But we were screaming at each other over loud music, and we both like just shared our goals. And I remember being really like, I'm going to be famous. Like, I remember like saying that to you and being like, why am I telling this person that? But you said it back to me too about you. And I was like, well, we're both like gonna get out of this town and make something of ourselves. Not like in that way.
I didn't think I'd ever be famous. I just thought I would be able to con my way into playing video games for a living.
Yes.
And that worked out.
And that worked out.
I think about you all the time, to be honest, because I was always like, oh, if I couldn't do comedy, that is the dream. Like, that is the best. I mean, and even with comedy, that's still more of a better dream.
It's a good deal, and it's just like I'm very thankful for my position because there are so few like full-time positions doing what I do. I mean, it used to be really hard to get into back, 15 years ago when I was first trying to break in, and now it's just, print magazines have died off, websites have kind of lost ground to YouTube and streamers and,
Twitch
things like
is
that.
like so big now.
It is.
This was like pre-Twitch that you were doing this shit.
Yeah, but it's almost an unrealistic thing to try to get into it now because everyone is trying to do Twitch and YouTube. It's really easy to just get a webcam, set it up, stream some games, and everyone's doing it. So unless you have this like absolutely exceptional ability or whatever, you're not going to get to that level like the famous ones, the PewDiePies or the all the famous guys that make like millions or whatever.
You lucked out to get into it in a time where you didn't luck out, but it is luck. I mean, but you also have something about you that is you're almost like a Judd Apatow type where you're like a pest.
Okay, sure.
To people, like you used to call up celebrities and like ask for advice.
You thought I was insane because you were trying to break in, and I told you about how when I was like 18, I called up Madeline Smithberg, the co-creator of The Daily Show. I called up Conan writers like Andy Blitz and stuff. I would wait around till the end of like Conan because like that was kind of one of my dream jobs too, was like to write for late night.
That's what we started talking about first. I think was our mutual appreciation of Conan.
Yeah, and so I would stick around. This is probably like 2001, 2002 until the credits, and it would list the writers and Brian McCann, Brian Stack, Andy Blitz, these guys. And I was like, these guys aren't really famous. Like people might recognize them as like, oh, that's Preparation Age Raymond or whatever.
Yeah.
But they weren't famous. So like I looked up like whitepages.com. Wow. I would look up these writers. I would look up the creator of The Daily Show or whatever and call them. Just cold call them and be like, hey, you don't know who I am. I'm this 17, 18-year-old kid in Kansas. I really want to get into writing about comedy or just I want to be involved in comedy in some way. And they had long chats with me. I remember Andy Blitz playing his guitar stoned, talking to me for like an hour.
Yeah.
Talking about how we got into Conan and everything. And Madeline Smithberg was like, I'm having dinner with my family right now, but can I call you back?
Oh, my
like,
God.
Yeah. And then I hung up and I didn't expect her to call back. And she did. And we talked for a while.
Wow.
And you thought I was insane for doing that.
I did. And I still think you are. Like, I would never do that. Like, I don't understand people asking. But if I got a call from a kid doing that, I would totally call them back. I do write people back if I'm like in the mood, and they have like a really sincere message about like, but I do think it's insane. And I mean, to cold call someone that is really tenacious and kind of crazy, like crazy in a great way. But you were like that. You were like a squeaky wheel, but you're also the perfect kind of annoying in terms of like asking for advice or whatever. Like, you're not someone who's going to overstay your welcome. You're totally respectful of boundaries of people. And I just love that about you. You're very self-aware.
I've just always assumed if I'm not hurting anyone, I'm not overstepping boundaries or anything, as long as I'm nice about everything and not stepping on toes or anything, people are generally receptive to that. And I would always start these conversations with like, I know this is crazy. If you're weirded out about this kid calling you, totally understand. Hang up. You'll never hear from me again. I won't bother you.
Did you have anybody get mad at you?
I don't think so. A lot didn't pick up. I think Madeline Smithberg and Andy Blitz were the two that like actually picked up.
So how did you make a career of playing video games out of college?
I actually, so I worked at a Funkoland that eventually turned into GameStop, if you've seen those around, in Kansas. And I was 18, and they used to send in these VHS tapes with like trailers for games and stuff on them, and they would play in the stores, like, hey, pre-order Brute Force for Xbox or whatever. And I realized they didn't advertise Game Informer, the magazine, but they own Game Informer. They were trying to push Game Informer subscriptions. And so I was like, well, why don't they advertise it ever? And so I called up corporate. I was 18. They didn't know who I was. I was like, listen, I'm some kid that works at your store in Olathe, Kansas. Dude. You don't know who I am, but like, I'll shoot a commercial for you for free if you can send me up to Minneapolis to Game Informer's headquarters and give me like a week there to kind of meet the staff, make this commercial and everything. Again, didn't expect to hear anything back at all. Like, it seemed like such a long shot, but what's the worst case scenario?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we got a meeting coming up. We'll talk about it. We'll call you back. And they were like, well, it turns out we have to pay you. And I was like, well, okay, you don't have to. And I had no frame of reference. I'd never done a commercial. They didn't ask for any proof. I mean, YouTube wasn't around back then. And they were like, how much do you want? And I just said $2,000 for me, $500 for a cameraman, and then flight and hotel to Minneapolis. And they fucking got back to me, and they gave me that, and then they gave me more money for props because I made this whole like Metal Gear Solid video game parody commercial, and so I bought this whole like Solid Snake suit and all this stuff on their money, and they sent me up there. I got to spend a week with the crew and everything. I'm 18 years old, filming this thing.
18?
Yeah. And so when I started writing video game reviews in college for Lawrence.com and Lawrence Journal World, I would pay my way out to E3 every year, which is the big like industry convention. I just got back from it last. No, it's in LA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just got back last week from this year's. It's been my 13th one.
Wow.
But I would go every year and pay my way out there, and I would find those Game Informer guys, Andy McNamara and like the bosses, the guys I've been reading their reviews since I was like 9. And I'd be like, "Hey, Andy, it's me. I'm Dan." Oh, one part I left out. I bought a shark mascot suit while I was there, and I kept like running around the office being a jackass in the shark suit. And so I would introduce myself as like, "Hey, Andy, I'm that shark suit kid that came up." And he's like, "All right, yeah, the shark suit kid." And I was like, "Well, I review video games now. I want to work for you. That's my dream job. I subscribed when I was 9. This is what I've wanted to do my whole life." And I bugged him every year, and there were never openings. And then one year, finally, he was like, "Yeah, we're actually going to like relaunch the website. We're going to hire some people. Let's be in touch." And then I moved out to Minneapolis the next month.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Good job streamlining that. Like that makes total sense to me. And then how have you gotten to where you are? Where has this taken you from there? Because you've lived in a lot of different cities over the years that I've known you. We've always stayed in touch, and we've seen each other every couple of years at least.
Yeah, we've hung out in Kansas City, Minneapolis, San Francisco, here.
Yeah. LA.
Yep.
Okay, so where did you go after Minneapolis? How long were you there? And what did you do there?
So I was a Game Informer for 5 years, and that is, it's a old print magazine, so it was a writing thing, which is kind of how I got started,
Wait
writing
a second.
reviews.
I just realized, like, the story that I want to tell more than anything is like, wait, can we talk about, hold on, and we'll do it in a later segment.
I think I know where this is going.
But like the story, not the story that I told at work, that we won't tell that one.
All right.
But the one, because Dan and I used to work together at a call center in University of Kansas. He got me the job pretty much, and it was we would call up alumni and ask for donations.
Yeah.
For people who are already paying off their student loans, we asked for more money on top of that. It's the most insane thing. But Dan was so good at it, and you had to follow this thing called an ask ladder, where you had to
Campanile Club, the Dean's Club.
Yeah. We would like try to trick these people into like paying more and more. And Dan was always so good at it. And we were just a bunch of students in a call center. It was really fun. It was a fun atmosphere. But there was always like story time, and I would get up and like do like stand up. And one night I told a crazy hookup story of Dan Reichert's that I will not repeat on air because it's just so insane. And he has a career and a family. And no, it's not. It's not illegal. Nothing he did was illegal.
No.
He's a great guy. He's just a drunk dumbass. But but the one I want to tell is like how you were de-virginized.
Oh, yeah, you can tell that.
Okay,
that was 100% because of you.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
so
that's...
just, not 100%.
You facilitated this.
You did
yes.
it.
I
It was a
totally
donor?
facilitated it. Yes, kind of.
Wait, what?
No.
Okay.
You elevated the
was-
question.
So Dan was like a virgin.
Yes, and I remember I would always complain to you about how I don't know how to talk to girls. I'm so nervous. And I remember confiding in you at this one party. It's like, Nikki, I got to tell you this thing that I've never told anyone in college, and like, please don't tell anyone.
The party where we met?
No, this was later. This was some other party.
Yeah.
And I said, like, listen, I grew up being like obsessed with professional wrestling. And I remember you being like, okay, like what's the next part? And I was like, I just don't want anyone to know in college because like if girls found out I liked wrestling, there's no way like any girl would ever talk to me.
So
and you were like,
funny.
wait, that's the whole fucking thing that you like wrestling?
It's like
I was yeah,
so
but I
many
like
guys
really
are-
like
You
wrestling.
live with that lie your whole life?
Yeah, I suppressed my love of wrestling for like 5 years in college, and I got
Totally.
out and I was like, I can like this again. This is great.
That's so funny, Dan. I do remember that of being like, what's the big deal? But
Yeah.
it like you can have this thing that manifests itself and you just hear from outsiders like girls hate
Exactly.
dorky stuff or
Right.
nerdy stuff, and then it just becomes this big thing that it isn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. And actually, when I told you that, the girl that you set me up with was there too.
Oh, she was.
That was the time I met her. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
It was
know you
later
had
on that you were
met
like,
her.
hey, remember her from this party?
Got it. Okay,
Yes.
so one night, so I knew Dan wanted to lose his virginity. He was having
Desperately.
he was having trouble just even doing anything leading up to that. Like we just wanted to get that out of the way so you could do everything else.
Yes,
You know
I
what I
figured
mean?
get the monkey off my back, and then maybe I'd be okay.
I felt the same way about my virgin. I think we were both like virgins around
We
the
were,
same
yeah.
time.
Yep.
Like
We were both 21, yeah.
We were both 21, yeah.
Yes.
And so I was over at
Club.
the 21 Club. I was over at my friend Laura's house, and her roommates and I were all hanging out. It was just like it was like early in the evening.
Yeah, I was at home I was reviewing a video game, I remember, and I got like a text or a call. I don't remember if text was around back then, but like you contacted me being like, "Hey, do you still want to lose your virginity?" And I was like, "Where's this going?" Yes. And you're like, "Okay, do you remember my friend blank?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, she seemed nice." And
I go,
Blank. Is that
she's
French?
yeah. I go, she's down because we were just sitting around watching TV, and my friend Val, I'll just say her name, doesn't matter. She knows what she did. She goes, she was just thirsty, and she was just like, I just want to have sex. I literally just want to have sex. I need to have sex, and I was just like, I know someone who will have sex with you like right now. And
Did she know he was a virgin?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
she did.
I don't
She
think I
had
knew
to
that.
have. That's not something I wouldn't have disclosed to my friend. She was my
This
friend.
guy fucks.
And I go, yeah. And so I texted Dan, and she was dead on serious. She might have had a couple drinks, but like that was like a typical Wednesday night or whatever. We were just sitting around watching The Bachelor. We were watching Grey's Anatomy or something. And I remember Dan came over, and we were all in the living room waiting for you.
here's the part you didn't see is that
God.
I got that call. I realized you were serious about this, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was so nervous, like heart beating through my chest. I chugged, I want to say 8 beers.
Oh my God, dude.
I think I was just like, I gotta get. I
used to
am
drink
so nervous,
so much.
Oh my god, I still enjoy drinking,
Oh,
but back
boy.
in college, it was just like I think I drank because I thought if I got drunk enough, I wouldn't be nervous around girls.
Yeah.
Was the thing, and so
Yeah.
I was constantly I drank a lot back then.
You really did, and I feel like it was something that you had just discovered in college. Like, did
Yes.
you?
I didn't
got-
party in high school or anything.
The
nothing
second
like
you
that.
partied, you were like, "I'm gonna be blackout Dan."
Well, it
and
made
just,
me
like,
social. You
Yeah,
know,
it did.
I was not social in high school. I never did anything, no football games or dances or anything. And I was always nervous in groups. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden I get to the dorms and you're kind of forced to be around people. And like I'd leave my door open and be playing video games and people would come in and I would meet people and we'd have drinks and play games. And I suddenly realized I really liked being social.
Yeah.
So yeah, drinking really
And
helped.
you're good at it. You
Thank
were
you,
good
thanks.
at it. Like you were just someone I automatically was like, I want to be friends with this person. But so I remember you walked in the door and it was still like light outside. Like it was early summer
I
evening.
ran to that house and then I stopped like a block away because I knew I was going
You
to come in
didn't
like
want to
sweaty.
be sweaty.
And so I stopped,
Oh my
composed myself,
God, Dan.
drunk and sweaty, and just like, okay, I got to
You
get my shit
ran
together
like
here.
a mile and a half. That's so funny.
That's so funny.
I remember where you lived, and you came in the door, and I remember it was probably like 3 or 4 girls, not including the girl, because she was upstairs waiting for him. Like,
No, you guys were in the kitchen. You and her were in the kitchen.
We were?
Yeah, I think you had friends on the couch, and then you guys were in the kitchen. I think you guys had a drink or something. I think we might have had like a courtesy drink together.
Okay,
'Cause I
good.
remember like awkwardly standing around being like, "Yep, having this drink. Wonder
My
what
ninth-
we're doing next here." And
My
then-
ninth drink.
Yeah.
yeah, you're not, exactly
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sipping on this cocktail, just easing into the mood.
God.
You're blackout already. No, but then I remember you went upstairs. You guys were up there. You did whatever, and we were all just downstairs, like watching TV. And I remember my friend Laura, who was my best friend, who lived there. Her little brother, was in town visiting from high school, and he couldn't believe it. And we filmed you as you left.
I
Do you
don't
remember
remember
that?
that,
Jay, my friend's little brother, I remember filmed you and interviewed you, and it was so.
Are you serious? I don't
Yes.
remember this at all.
Crazy.
Yeah, you just like
Post-game?
walked out, and we were just like, how'd it go? And you're just like, I'll see you later. I'll see you at work, Nikki, or whatever. Like you just like, I remember you just closing the door. I was like, we shouldn't have filmed, and that was so mean. But it was, and then you were done.
I was happy.
and then you were done.
It was very pleasant.
How long
Yeah.
was the time upstairs?
Yeah,
It was, I would say, a normal, non-embarrassing time. I
20
would say.
minutes, 25 minutes. Yeah.
That's a good amount of
First
time.
I was very
That's
worried about to hear
Hell
the
yeah.
stories, but it was fine.
And women
yeah.
do
I
like
thought
it to be 6 seconds. We've talked about that.
Yes.
The Vine rule.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Vine rule.
If it's longer than 6 seconds, it's too much.
And then I wanted to repeat over and over and over. That's the Vine rule, right?
boomerang.
And then eventually get
And then
taken
it's-
off the
yeah,
web.
It's no longer
Scrape
allowed.
from the Then you got to go over to Instagram. So that's okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt. So we were back on. I got you laid. I pimped my friend out.
Thank you for that.
I feel really good about it. I mean, you both got what you wanted. She had
It
a
was a
great
great
experience
experience. Yeah.
for both. So you were in Minneapolis. You were writing for Game Informer.
Yes. So yeah, it was more writing focused when I got hired, and that's what I did in Lawrence. Was I wrote video game reviews. I wrote like 600 for free before I ever got hired at Game Informer.
Jesus.
And so I got hired as a writer.
Listen to that. If you're listening at home, being like, "How do I want to do 600 reviews of 500 words or more?" At least,
I would say, yeah.
For free.
Yeah, I mean, I was also getting free games, which is great. But it was still it was still a lot of work, and I mean, it helps when you don't ever go to class.
You put in your work, but you got good at it.
Yeah. I mean, I got confident with it. I mean, it was something I was able to kind of do on autopilot.
It's like open micing for writing, for journalism.
Totally. Yeah, and so I got hired eventually at Game Informer, and it was so writing focused, but I could tell that things were shifting. YouTube was kind of in its early years and everything. Personality-based stuff was more of a thing. There were other sites, including the site that I work at now, Giant Bomb, that were focusing on more personality stuff and video, So I started the show while I was at Game Informer called Replay, where we play all these old video games, and we just kind of joke over it, me and some good friends. And I felt like the brass kind of looked down on video stuff at the time because it was like magazine first. That's the real work. You guys are just fucking around down in the studio making these shows. And so I felt like I was always kind of fighting that, where it's like I was trying to push things forward and take this older brand and make it more relevant and everything. And they were kind of stuck in the print ways. They've since changed. They've got a studio and all this stuff now. They do a podcast, all that. But I wanted to branch out, and I started to get invited on a bunch of podcasts and stuff as the Twitter stuff got bigger. So wrestling podcasts would invite me on, or I wrote books on the side and stuff, and Game Informer had a major issue with that. They did not want me to appear on other things. They didn't want me, they kind of thought that they deserved the money for my books and stuff like that.
Whoa.
We had some uncomfortable meetings. I'm still friends with those folks and everything, but it was a weird time.
You want money out of my anxiety book?
Oh, that was later. That
your cause.
Giant Bomb lets me do whatever I want.
Okay.
So basically I felt a little constrained by Game Informer.
Yeah.
And I had respected Giant Bomb for a very long time. I was friends with the guys who founded it. And we had talked for years about the possibility, and the only thing holding me back was I didn't want to live in San Francisco. I grew up in the Midwest. I loved Minnesota. And then finally I was like, well, I want to get out of here, and Giant Bomb seems to do kind of exactly the kind of thing I want to do. It's all personality focused, all podcasts and videos. We do the occasional review, but I mean, they seem so much more forward thinking. And as much as I grew up idolizing Game Informer, Giant Bomb, I did it for 5 years, had a great time. And then Giant Bomb was there, and I moved over there, and it's been great 4 years now.
And how was San Francisco for you?
It was good.
How was the adjustment?
I don't love the city. I mean, that was the first time I had to adjust to a big city and public transportation and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I sold my car when I got out there.
Oh, that's the other thing about you. You don't drive
the driving
on
and the eating thing and all that. I've gotten much better about a lot of that. When we met, I was full on. I've never tried ketchup. I've never tried mustard. I've never had a pickle. I've never had a salad.
And I won't drive on.
I didn't drive on highways either. I remember when I made that movie with George Clinton when I was 18. We had to go from Kansas City to St. Louis, and I was looking up ways to take side roads. It would be 4 hours on the highway or 20 hours on side streets if it was even possible to shoot. That's a whole other story. But
oh my God, Dan.
Yeah,
we'll get to the anxiety stuff in the next break. But okay, so then you're in San Francisco. You made it happen. Then how did you end up here?
So actually, when I was in San Francisco, I was single. I was doing the OkCupid thing and all that, and I met my now wife, Bianca, and she was moving. She was in the process of moving from here.
You met her on OkCupid.
Yeah. Huh. She was in the process, and I knew just instantly. We texted for 2 months. And
I met you or I saw you shortly after you met her, and it was well, I know this is the one.
Yeah, you met her briefly after one of your shows at Cobb's. Yeah. And I just knew from texting her that it was I've never talked with another human being like this. And I never heard her voice, never met her in person. So 2 months, because she was planning on moving out in 2 months. And so we just talked until then. And I just from the first day of talking to her, I was like, okay, I'm taking down my OkCupid. I'm not dating anymore. I'm not single. I haven't even met this girl. And I was telling my friends at the time, I know I'm going to marry this girl. And they called me insane.
Whoa.
And so she moved out, and right away it was, better than I even expected. And we lived there for a little bit. And since her family's back here, and neither of us really liked San Francisco that much, and the job market wasn't great for her, we were like, well, her family's here. We can live with her family for a couple months while we look for an apartment in the city. And we moved out here. We got a place in the Upper East Side. Got a dog. We're living there now. It's fantastic.
And does Giant Bomb have an office here too?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And so that was the hugely helpful thing is that they have 2 offices, one in San Francisco, one in New York City.
Great.
So it was very easy to everything's right there ready to go.
How was New York for you?
I love it.
How long have you been now?
It's been I moved out here in January 1st of 2017. It's about a year and a half or so.
Wow.
I grew up idolizing New York because all the shows I watched, from Letterman to Conan to SNL, Daily Show, it all starts with the skyline, and they're always talking about man on the street bits and stuff like that I loved. And so I always grew up just loving the idea of the city, never really spending time here, but I always knew I wanted to be here. And I never grew up for any affinity with San Francisco or California or LA, anything like that. I was never interested in that. Everything lined up so perfectly, from her family to the job to the city, and I love it. We're here in the shadow of 30 Rock, and every time I walk by, I'm like, man, that's where Late Night with David Letterman was.
Yeah,
I know, it's really cool. That's why I wanted to be here in New York as well to do this show, is because even this floor is very exciting of Sirius, where it's Howard Stern is right over there, who I've fucking idolize, and just New York has all of that. You're so right.
And Pizza Rat's here.
And Pizza Rat.
I like the idea of somebody moving here just because they saw Pizza Rat.
Right.
I want to go where that rat is.
Speaking of viral things, you had a hand in something that went viral, I didn't understand what you were talking about in the hallway, but I said to save it for the air because I knew that Tom would know what you're talking about. Tom might be excited because it's a sports thing I didn't understand, but every guy that was within earshot goes, oh, I know that. Whoa, that was you?
Well,
so excited. I go, save it for Tom. What was you? What was you, Dan?
Tom, have you seen the video about George Brett pooping his pants?
Wait, no, I don't think I have.
Oh my God! Well, this is a double surprise.
Yeah, I've seen.
I don't think I've seen this.
Oh, Tom,
I'm so excited.
Who is this person?
George Brett. Okay, so I grew up in Kansas City, and he was royalty. He no pun intended. He played for the Royals.
Okay.
He was the guy back when the Royals were good, and I was never a big sports guy either. But I just knew you saw George Brett everywhere. Commercials, all this stuff. My dad worshipped him, and then I graduated college and I started working at this Metro Sports, this TV station that did Kansas City sports. And he did some shows with us and stuff, and he was this notorious asshole. No one liked George Brett. And so some producer gave me a DVD where he's like, hey, you're going to want to watch this. And it's 3 minutes of the most perfect comedy you could ever see in your life. It's George Brett at a training camp. There we go. We got it on the screen here.
I have seen this. Okay, yes.
Tom just instantly recognized it.
Wait a second.
This. Look at the 2 glasses on his head.
We see a guy stretching a lot out in the...
I shit my pants last night. I did. Went out and had a great meal, just a great fucking meal. I had to go to the bathroom so bad in the car. I'm going, Travel, hurry up, man. I got to shit. I had fucking shit in my pants. I went.
The mic's bad at the beginning here, but it gets better.
I'm good twice a year for that. When was the last time you shit your pants? Yeah.
Talking to these 18, 19-year-old kids that probably worship him.
I was in Vegas a couple of years ago. Just an honest-to-God true story. Staying at the Bellagio. I went over to the Mirage for dinner, met some friends of mine over there. Went to Kokomo's, a great little steakhouse. The guy brings out some fresh crab legs. These just came in, I got to give them to you guys. I'm eating them. Then we go play gamble a little bit. I had a tea time early in the morning. So I said, look, I got to get going. I'm walking back to the hotel. I get 3/4 of the way out of the lobby, and all of a sudden I go, oh, fuck. And I'm standing here like this. I got my butt pinched so fucking... I'm fucked. I can't move. All of a sudden, felt all right. I went just like this. Water. I had
his leg.
Food poisoning from the crabs. Take off my leather jacket. Tied it around my waist, and I'm just standing there, and it's just running down my leg. I got jeans on, black bucks, no socks. And I just start fucking walking. Every time I'm walking, something's coming out. It's water. Straight fucking water. Then, to tell you how sick I was. And then I'm standing outside my car and get on my cell phone and I call the guy. I said, Larry, you won't believe this. I'm standing outside the fucking Bellagio. I can't move. I got shit everywhere. I shit all over myself. And Larry's about a 48
He's
waist.
mic'd up. He knows
So he
this.
brings me over a pair of pants and some towels. And so he comes over and he meets me where I tell him where I'm standing. He finds the closest bathroom. When you go up the escalator to go into the I can't get in the elevator. It's 12 o'clock at night. You know? So he goes in, he finds the closest bathroom in the lobby of the hotel, and then I get in the escalator, and he kind of pretends like he dropped something so no one gets behind me, tells me where it is. I go in there, he goes and gets the towel all wet for me, throws it over the fucking stall. I take off all my fucking clothes, just wipe off, leave my shoes, left my shoes, my pants, everything right there, the towels right there in the stall.
He's just following
and I'm
them
walking
as they walk
barefoot
away.
with my shirt and his pants that are 48 waist through the lobby like this at midnight. Got up in the morning, took the most perfect double tapered shit I've ever had in my life.
What?
True story.
And finish?
Who's the pitchers in this game?
My God. I mean,
That's so good. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That's so funny that at the end he starts just following them. They're trying to get away
they
from
don't have
him.
baseball to
wanna
play.
hear this. Yeah. Who's the
That's-
pitchers today?
That is so okay. We got to go to break. I want to talk more about this and how that all came to be. Guys, with GNC Auto Deliver and Save, don't worry about missing a daily dose of your must-have. Can't live without vitamins and supplements. Once you set up your free subscription, GNC takes care of the rest. They'll ship you your products automatically and at a frequency you choose. You no longer have to shop each month or remember to stop by the store. Each time your package ships, you'll save 10% off your order, and everything will ship for free. You can even modify or cancel your order at any time. Not to mention that unlike other subscription services, GNC Auto Deliver and Save has no membership fees. So, keep focusing on your health and wellness. GNC will take care of getting you the products you need right when you need them. Quality shipped, wellness delivered. Visit GNC.com or a store near you to subscribe to GNC Auto Deliver and Save. That's GNC.com or a store near you to subscribe to GNC Auto Deliver and Save. We'll be right back with more show after this.
Let's learn about the human body with Drunk History.
What's it mean when you're swallowing too much?
Bourbon balls.
What was that?
There's a little something coming up.
Drunk History, all new tonight at 10/9 Central on Comedy Central.
Excuse me.
Hear what happened
One of the most euphoric nights of music I've ever been a part of.
when U2 performed for 1,500 Sirius XM subscribers and loyal fans
The Apollo was a great experience.
at Harlem's world-famous Apollo Theater.
Just rocked it out, man. From the heart. From the heart.
Catch encores throughout the month
It's now going out on Sirius XM.
on the U2 Experience, Channel 30, and streaming on your phone or connected devices and speakers.
Get a unique anniversary gift created by Shane Company's own world-class design team. We have rings, pendants, and tennis bracelets with natural diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. With our superior quality standards, your anniversary gift will last forever. And with the best warranty in the business, no one makes a lifetime commitment to your lifetime commitment like Shane Company. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Don't you love summer?
Instant vitamin D.
Longer days?
Sand between your toes.
Oh, and sweat between your...
Hey, not on the radio.
Hi, I'm Erin Fujimoto, co-founder of Tommy John, the revolutionary clothing brand that has redefined comfort for men and women.
And I'm Tom Patterson, Erin's husband and founder and CEO of Tommy John. Now that it's summer, staying cool and comfortable starts with the right underwear.
Because no one wants to see or feel swamp butt. That's why our cool cotton dries 4 to 5 times faster and keeps you 2 to 3 times cooler than normal cotton.
And with a no wedgie guarantee and a variety of soft, moisture-wicking fabrics, you'll enjoy every barbecue and ball game adjustment-free.
Plus, it's all backed by our best pair you'll ever wear or it's free guarantee. So upgrade your underwear to the most comfortable pair under the beating sun.
Tommy John, no adjustment needed.
Use code COMEDY at TommyJohn.com now to save 20% on your first order. That's code COMEDY for 20% off at TommyJohn.com. TommyJohn.com.
The 2018 Camping World MLB All-Star Ballot is now open. Make sure your favorite players are represented by voting at MLB.com/vote or in the MLB ballpark or at-bat apps. You can vote 5 times a day, and voting lasts through July 5th. So go to MLB.com/vote and pick your starting lineup. Then catch all the excitement of the 89th MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, July 17th, live on Fox. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
I would do to take away this fear of being loved, allegiance to the pain. Now I fucked up and I'm missing you. I'll never be like you. I would give anything to change this fickle-minded heart that loves fake shiny things. Now I fucked up and I'm missing you. I'll never be like you. I'm only human, can't you see?
Welcome back to the show. It's You Up with Nikki Glaser. We're here with Tom Takar,
Squirt.
Andrew Collins,
Ruff.
and Dan Reichert is our guest today. Dan, you leaked that video of
George Brett,
who played for the Royals, telling an epic story about a time he shit his pants in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And also, it was fresh off a shitting the pants story from the night before.
But the next morning was great.
And the next morning was great after he shit himself in Vegas.
I had to Google double tapered after that.
Yeah, what did that mean?
You know how, like, when you're getting, like, soft serve ice cream or something at the top, how it kind of, like, it's got that little, pinch there?
He knew
double
that
tapered.
word?
I guess, yeah.
Shut
That's
up.
so
I want to
funny.
Google that right now.
Great storyteller.
Oh, my
It's
God.
great. Until the end where they're actively
walking away.
Yes,
Yeah, it's so
trying to get away from their childhood hero, probably.
Is he notorious for being a good storyteller and for being like charismatic and interesting? And I mean that was a great story.
He would do commercials and stuff. Like, he was comfortable in front of a camera, but it wasn't like he was known for being like, oh, here's a wacky George Brett story. He was just known for being a good baseball player.
So what was the fallout from that, and how did you leak it?
Oh, man. So I quit. I hated working there, and I was like, I'm getting out of here. And I hated my bosses and everything, and I was, 24 or whatever. And I was like, all right, I'm fine. I'm just like,
where were you again? I'm sorry.
Kansas City at the time.
But where were you working that you had this access to this?
A place called Metro Sports.
And this was new footage, or like that you guys passed around?
It was newish, yeah. I mean, back then it was new.
But you guys were passing around internally, and
everyone had the DVD, everyone had the thing, and I was like, this is too funny. Like, the internet deserves this. You know, like YouTube was around at that point. I was like, but I thought it would just be like Kansas City sports blogs that picked up on it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like, it picked up there, but then instantly it was like Deadspin, Sports Illustrated. Like, GQ put out an issue a few years ago of like the 50 funniest things to ever be on the internet, and it was like number 5 ahead of The Onion or something.
Oh my God.
They made a whole comic out of it. Like, they drew it, and they did this whole thing, like, reenacting his Bellagio story. Like, it's just insane.
Whoa.
And so I had friends that still worked there, and I asked them, like, how's this going? Do they know it's me? And I guess everyone, like all the anchors and everything, were like, it's clearly Dan. He just left. He hated it here.
Yes.
Like, he thought that video was the funniest thing in the world. Of course it was Dan. But they couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
And so I got some, like, FedEx overnighted from, like, some Time Warner owned Metro Sports, like some exec or whatever, being like, we know this is you. We need you to delete or destroy any copies of the tape or whatever. And this guy called me, like this exec, whoever the hell he was, and he was like, hey, we know it was you. And I was like, yeah. I mean, to be honest, yes, it was me. It was immature. I apologize. It's like, I thought it was funny. And he goes, well, Dan, no one's denying that the video is funny.
I love that.
So yeah, there was talk of like I was going to have to do like community service for like George Brett's charities or whatever to avoid like going to court, because this was in the Kansas City Star all the time. This was on the TMZ TV show.
Wow.
Where like they showed the video on the TMZ show, and then they had the guys behind the desk being like, yeah, the manhunt's on in Kansas City. Like, they used the word manhunt. I remember watching that and being like, oh, I did not know this was going to be this much of a thing.
Holy shit.
Did you take it down or no?
Well, I took it down, but it's like, trying to save out cockroaches with YouTube. It just keeps popping up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's like the Beyonce picture.
The Streisand effect thing.
Yeah, what does that mean?
That's Streisand had a house that she didn't want pictures of in the media, and this was years and years and years ago. And because she made a deal out of not wanting this in the media, it just amplified, it just signal boosted this thing so much. And like, so now that if you look up Streisand effect, there's a billion pictures of her house that she didn't want on there because she made a big deal out of it.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay, so where are you responsible for any other memes or cultural phenomena? Because I believe you might be.
A Tom might like the fact that I made fun of Jose Canseco until he wrote the foreword to my book about a flying alligator.
I got to hear about this.
Okay.
Yeah, I love this.
Wait a second, I forgot you had that book. Wait,
They're very dumb. They're my first two books, Air Force Gator and Air Force Gator 2, Scales of Justice.
Okay. And
yeah.
what inspired these books?
It's really dumb. It's basically a friend introduced me to the concept of self-publishing. Like I went to a house party at his place, and he had a book there, and it said, by Ben Reeves. And I was like, what the hell is this? You wrote a book? He's like, yeah, you can self-publish on Amazon. It's super easy. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And so I had that in the back of my head, and I was at work one day, and somebody said the phrase Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and I misheard it as Air Force Gator, and we just started like having this thing like, oh, what would Air Force Gator be? And I came up with this whole thing of like, oh, it's an alligator that like his grandpa was a World War II pilot, and like he's this alcoholic, he's trying to live up to his grandpa, and like after 9/11, like he joins like the Air Force to try to like I don't know, like this dumb story. And then I was like, how dumb would it be if I wrote this entire book about like a straight-faced like action book, but it's about an alligator that joins the Air Force? And I wrote it. It's terrible. It's the dumbest thing in the world. It's exactly as dumb as you would think. And then when I made the sequel, around this time, I was making fun of Jose Canseco a lot on Twitter because he was doing Jose Canseco on Twitter. If you're not familiar with him, he's a giant moron.
I pulled up some tweets just in case.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Oh, you know what? They didn't pull up. So never mind.
No, thank you.
He wrote, when I died, I saw Elvis and Michael. They said hello. He just writes insane shit on Twitter.
He's crazy.
He also thinks I'm dead. His last tweet about me was like, rest in peace to my little buddy Dan. He was a strange little man. And like, I don't know why he thought I was dead. And I responded to him like, you idiot, I'm alive. But anyway, around the time I was writing the second Air Force Gator, I was making fun of him on Twitter because he did some tweet about like, oh, to Obama and John Boehner, if you need help with the like, I don't know, debt ceiling or some crisis, like I'll help you out. And I was like, you idiot, they don't want any help from you. And he responded because he saw like, I think my Twitter banner or something was Air Force Gator, and he made fun of my book. He's like, oh, how's Air Force Gator selling? Like my book was on the New York Times bestseller list. And so I just kept making fun of him back and forth, and like he took the bait, and then he's like, hey, if you need any help, one writer to another, I'll give you some tips or whatever. And I was like, I'll let you write the foreword for my next book. And like he didn't respond to that, but I kept asking him over and over, like, hey, Jose, where's the foreword that you promised me? And I eventually got in touch with his agent and all this stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, can you ask Jose like when can I expect the foreword? And then he wrote a fucking foreword about this thing about how the first Air Force Gator was this thinly veiled metaphor for his life, and like the bad guy in Air Force Gator was an analog of Bud Selig, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and it's really about steroids. Like it's
kind of made it about him.
Yes, he totally did.
Oh my god!
And so Air Force Gator 2, the foreword is by Jose Canseco.
Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And he thinks you're dead.
And he thinks you're dead.
Yes.
Dan.
I wonder how he thinks you died.
He wrote He wrote mermen do not exist because mermaids are a hermaphroditic species. He like writes this and say, I have painted Bud Selig and Donald Trump and cry every time I look at them. He writes like the most insane shit.
I mean, you don't get any sense that there's any like irony with him. Like he really is just like this big dumb oaf.
He was on Moshe Kasher and Neil Brennan's podcast.
Oh yeah,
and Neil Brennan was like, I think he knows what he's doing, but I don't believe that.
Right,
I think that he's crazy.
I think he is too. Yeah.
This tweet is so funny because he goes, I'm sorry to hear Dan is dead. I didn't know. A good, strange little man. Rest in peace, buddy. Hug for you. And then Dan retweeted and wrote, what the hell are you talking about?
And then
there's all these like memes of you. Like you have like there's one of you having a bunch of things poured on you, and it says,
was it the Pogs?
R.I.P. Dan, the funeral service was truly beautiful. It's you being showered in Pogs.
Oh, Mortal Kombat Pogs. Yeah, somebody sent me 20,000 Mortal Kombat Pogs. And
why do those exist?
Our fans are Mortal Kombat Pogs?
Yeah, like why does
do you remember
trash
1993?
Like this exist? I know.
They were pretty
gotta
cool.
be somewhere. They're not. Pogs are gonna outlive all of us.
I have my old Pogs. I love Mortal Kombat. I totally understand why they exist.
Okay. Well, I get why they exist, but it's like, haven't they been recycled into something useful yet?
Think?
Like Pogs. Like, why are they sitting around?
I've got a box about 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide, filled with those.
In Manhattan?
No, I left that in San Francisco.
Okay,
I think it's still my property.
You have a storage unit there? Or?
It's just at the office. San Francisco office.
So
it's very heavy.
You'll never see him again, is what you're saying. But so tell me about your second and third book. You have 4 books total?
5 or 6. Like one of them is kind of this jokey compilation thing. That's a whole other story I won't even get into. One of them is this like short ebook about this thing that happened in professional wrestling. But like as far as like like the books I take seriously.
Sure.
Like Air Force Gator was a joke, dumb thing.
Got it.
Anxiety is an Ally was one I wrote. Like it's probably the most like straight face, like serious thing I've maybe ever done professionally. And that is just like, I've had anxiety disorders since I was 18. Started at KU, general anxiety disorder, panic disorder, had my first panic attack at 18, had no idea what the hell was happening, thought I was dying.
Where was it? What happened?
I was on mushrooms in the dorms. And so I went from, we talked about not partying at all.
What dorm were you in?
Hashinger.
Okay.
Which the mushrooms make sense if it was Hashinger.
yeah.
It was the hippie arts dorm or whatever.
We all know hash.
So yeah, I went from like not ever drinking at all, and like I'd smoked pot like 5 or 6 times, to like friends being like, "Hey, do you want to try mushrooms?" And I was like, "Sure, okay, yeah."
You would just throw anything in your mouth.
You just piled on mushrooms.
You were crazy back
You
then.
just piled on mushrooms. Like you already were doing a bunch of shit.
Oh no,
not much.
Oh, okay.
No, I was barely ever like I've been drunk like maybe 10 times. I've been high maybe 4 or 5, and then it's like, oh, okay, my friends who I trusted, like good guys and everything, and they made sure I was safe and everything, and I took mushrooms, and I've only done anything like harder than weed like twice basically, and it was mushrooms, and both times I had panic attacks. And I love math. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, I had panic
math.
attacks.
Just being math is harder than weed.
But I had a panic attack, and I didn't know what it was.
In your dorm.
Yeah, I remember
on
laying
the mushrooms.
On the mushrooms,
or the next day.
Damn.
Well, for like months afterwards.
Okay.
And so I went to all these.
Triggered it.
Because I had one. Yeah, the next day after taking mushrooms.
Like the come down thing can do that. Yeah. So I went to a doctor, and like you can't get panic disorder because you did mushrooms, but like underlying stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've heard that like mushrooms and stuff can kind of bring that stuff to the surface a bit. And I struggled for like 6 months not knowing what the hell was happening to me, bouncing around from doctor to doctor.
What was happening to you?
Panic attacks daily.
Yeah,
I had.
For those of us who don't understand what that is, like I understand what anxiety is. I understand, but like panic attacks, you literally like can't breathe. Your body like, starts. Andrew gets them.
Yeah, I get them.
Yeah, I would get my extremities, like my fingers and toes, would get tingly. Sometimes
That's
on
the
real
first
bad ones.
Sign is it
no
like
heart? Usually heart and breathing is
does
usually.
anything bring it on? Sometimes it's just nothing.
Mine is heartburn, and I think it's going to be a heart attack. And then I I try to burp out the heartburn, or like the belching, and then I'll over belch, and then I'll make the heartburn worse, which will then think it's a heart attack, and then I'll be in the ER twice.
Really? That's happened?
Yeah, I've driven myself to the ER thinking I was having a heart attack. And the
too.
choking thing, too.
Choking, like if you cough, like if you choke on something, like you're eating.
I thought I choked in Palm Beach. I was living at my grandma's, and then I was laying on the floor, and I thought I got a piece of lint in my throat, and just in my head, I was like, I'm not choking right now, but I'm gonna choke because it's gonna cut off. Like I went into this weird spiral, and I went across the street to my other grandma's. I was like, I'm choking. She's like, what? Huh? And so then I just drove myself in my Camry.
That's such a Florida sentence. I went across the street to my other grandma.
To Grandma Shirley. So she couldn't help me. She was like 90. She had a caretaker that probably could have told me that I was crazy. But I'm driving to urgent care.
Driving while having a panic attack?
Yeah, thinking I'm choking to death. And then I get 20 minutes, I'm in traffic while choking. And then I get there, and I was like, the lady's like, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, I'm choking. And
she was like, you're talking to me right now.
She goes, just go sit down. And then I sit down, and finally, when the panic subsides, which is interesting because then you could look back at it and be like, what happened, kind of, but you can't control it. You know?
Like logically, you know, especially after you've had panic disorder for a while, like even in the moment that like I know this isn't going to kill me. No one's ever died from a panic attack, but it doesn't change the fact that your body is like activating this fight or flight in a crazy way.
Yep.
And there's no way, like when you're breathing that heavy and your heart's going down to your chest and like your vision's getting blurry around the outside, even if you know the logical part of your brain that you're fine, it's really hard to function.
Yeah, right. I mean, a heart attack though can kill you.
That's true.
So if you think you're, that's like
eventually I'll be right, and that's what
the problem is. Will be right.
Shake your fist in the air like I told you, people.
Yeah.
I did the same thing though. I went to the ER on a couple of occasions. I had my mom drive me there, and she thought I was crazy. And they would attach like EKG machines to me and stuff.
Don't they know what this is? There's 20-year-old guys showing up at the ER who are claiming they're choking. There's nothing going on with them. Isn't that anxiety disorder? diagnosed. Let's get you help.
So that's the thing. In 2018, I bet that happens way more often, but it wasn't talked about much back then.
Yes.
And so that's the thing. That's what started me getting better. Is there was like 6 months of me Googling everything and being like, do I have a thyroid condition? Do I have like what's going on? What's causing this? Do I have Lyme disease?
Do I
Like
have
all these crazy
diabetes?
things.
Do I have AIDS? I had like all this like extremities.
Yeah.
Like I would go numb, like my arms would go numb, and I was like, oh, this is definitely a.
But you
then I
also
wouldn't do
have
anything.
hypochondria, where you thought you had AIDS because you fingered a girl and bit your fingernails.
Yes, all,
Right?
all 5 of my nails. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got your whole hand. You fisted a girl,
I
and then
fisted a
you
girl,
thought you had
and I had
AIDS
a
from
I
it.
had a cut on my forearm. Yeah.
But is that true? Like that can also trigger
they're
your
tied,
anxiety.
Yeah, they're of course anxiety and hypochondria are definitely probably tied together.
Totally.
Yeah, the fear of death. Definitely, but I don't know. Like lately, it's been less. I've gone therapy.
Yeah.
And it's helped a lot.
So, but like, did you ever get diagnosed, Andrew, when you were like with anxiety disorder?
With ADD, I got.
No, but when you go into the ER and say you're choking, they say you have ADD?
No.
Back in the 40s when Andrew was a kid, they didn't have like the term ADD.
Right,
yet.
they did not. Yes.
Polio.
Yeah, they just hit my knee with a hammer, and they were like, "Yeah, I think you're fine."
Yeah. Okay.
No.
So, but you never heard about anxiety disorder at those early stages either.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you'd go through it, you really didn't know. Like, and then there's no one to talk to. Like I would have it at dinner a lot. Like when I would sit with my family, and I would be like, I just want to talk. That's why with comics, I'm like fine because everyone's fucked up, and you could be like, I'm feeling
talks about it
pressure
constantly.
in my chest. I'm feeling like I'm having like just saying it means everything. But when you're holding it in and you're embarrassed,
You
and
had one the other day. We were hanging out.
Did I?
Yeah, there was something going on, and you go, I'm feeling like I'm going to. What was
after
it?
I ran with you.
Yes, you had one. Yeah, we ran on Saturday, and then hours later, we were at the Comedy Cellar at a table, and and leading up to that, you were like, I don't feel good after that run, and I'm like, well, I ate lunch with you today. You didn't eat enough at lunch. I told you didn't eat enough at lunch because you're doing a new plant-based diet, and I'm like, boys don't understand when they switch over to dieting that like, or they eating salads. Men don't understand nutrition like on any level. I feel like so often, not every man for sure, but like a lot of men, I feel like when they're like, I'm just gonna start eating healthy, and then they switch to they just get a salad instead of what they usually order, and then they're hungry, and then they don't eat because they're like, that's
And then
just
my
what I
sugar
have to
level's
do.
low,
Your
and-
sugar levels were low. We went on a run. You said you felt, and I go, what are you feeling? Like this is an hour after your run. What are you feeling sore? Are you? And you were just like, I don't know. And I'm like, you need to fucking eat, dude. And that was it. But you
a lot
thought
of
you were
times
dying.
it is eating. Yeah, no, a lot of times it's
You got
hydrating.
scared.
Yeah, you're drinking a lot of water. You need to drink water.
But you were scared because you kept talking about it, and then there was some point where you like it went away because I don't normally see you like that where you're like, I don't feel good, I don't feel right, I don't like.
I think on top of that, it's just going into some place like the cellar where you're feeling off.
Right.
And if you're already feeling off, it just gets time to melt. Like anytime I have dinner, like that panic attack with my mom when I took the mushrooms, the next day I had dinner with my mom and her friend, and the mom stuff, the childhood stuff, it all comes back, and then you're like, and then you can't address it because you're embarrassed because in front of your parents you always have to be strong.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I think that's where.
So Dan Reichert is here with us, by the way.
I gotta
you
read
can
your
check
book.
out his book.
Yeah.
What's your book called again?
It's Anxiety as an Ally.
Anxiety as an Ally.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Alligator.
Yes.
As an ally.
Yes. That's coming up. That's the third one. Thanks for breaking embargo on my third one I told you about.
So funny. So you were 18. You did mushrooms. It triggered months of anxiety disorder after that.
Yeah, and actually, I take it back because I just realized my first one was actually in a movie. My first two were in movie theaters. I forgot that was the case.
Okay.
I saw Gangs of New York and Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, and both times these are both long movies. And I remember I saw them opening weekend, and I would be like in the middle of the aisle. And like anytime it's like a boxing thing, like I go to the Comedy Cellar a lot too, and like I know the feeling.
But
It's
the
like
middle of the aisle. I was telling you about that. How you can't be in the middle because you can't get up because you feel too embarrassed.
I always make sure I'm sitting on the edge, whether it's a movie or a comedy club.
Airplanes too for me. I don't like
that's
sitting.
a major thing
I feel
for me.
like
being in that
everyone
aisle.
relates to this, and you guys just ask people to get the fuck up and go to the bathroom.
People get mad though.
No, but then
Sometimes
fuck
they do,
them.
yeah.
If they get mad, fuck them. You have to pee or you have to do something. Like that was shocking to me, and that's what when you told me that. Where were we? Where you were like, I can't sit in the middle, or there was something because I told you I have a friend who went to Conan once, and at had a panic attack.
I did.
I
had to take a Xanax and I fell asleep in the Conan audience. It was his third taping of the Tonight Show, and like somewhere around the time like Julia Louis-Dreyfus was out there, I fell asleep because I barely ever.
Let's get to the story when we come back.
Sorry.
I have to go to a break, but there's so much to talk about. If you're listening, we're talking about anxiety. Everyone has it. Everyone can relate, especially men who don't talk about it enough. I'm so happy you're here, Dan, to talk about it. Guys, are you confused by all the talk about a good night's sleep? There are a lot of new mattress companies out there, but they're all missing something. They're missing expertise. That's why you should discover Tomorrow, the new luxury mattress by the world's top sleep experts at Serta Simmons Bedding. The Tomorrow mattress is not like the rest. It combines the comfort of memory foam with the support of inner spring coils for deep, uninterrupted sleep. You can only get the Tomorrow mattress at one place, and that's tomorrowsleep.com. You'll get an amazingly comfortable mattress, one that I own as well, and I'm obsessed with, and I think about when I'm not on it all the time. You can get this mattress, the one I have currently, for half of what you pay in stores. And they're so confident at Tomorrow Sleep that you will love your mattress, that you will get a whole year risk-free trial. So if you don't love it in the next year, they'll come pick it up for you, and they'll return it out of the box for free, no questions asked. So there's no risk here. Feel like you're sleeping in the clouds for $125 off plus 2 free pillows. Use promo code COMEDY2. That's COMEDY2 at tomorrowsleep.com. COMEDY2. Transform your tomorrow. We'll be back with more show after this.
It's season 2 of Detroiters. Yes! With more laughs. More local ads made by the best ad men in town.
We're going to put together the best friggin' ad you've ever seen.
Yeah, or else we'll die trying.
Boom! Oh no, my friend's dead!
And double the trouble.
Hey, it's the Suck Twins!
You're the one who sucks! Oh, shit! My dude!
Detroiters, all new Thursdays at 10:30, 9:30 Central on Comedy Central.
In 10 years, we're going to have the biggest ad agency in Detroit, and that's a promise.
You may know it as Wimbledon. In tennis circles, it's simply known as the Championships.
Serena's at the net and puts the volley away! It's an ace from Roger Federer, a record 8th Wimbledon title. Big forehand from Djokovic. It's Djokovic's title. Murray is Wimbledon champion once again.
Here's SiriusXM's coverage of Wimbledon throughout the fortnight on Sirius 145, XM 207, and on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers.
With GNC Auto Deliver and Save, don't worry about missing a daily dose of your must-have, can't live without vitamins and supplements. Once you set up your free subscription, GNC takes care of the rest. They'll ship you your products automatically and at a frequency that you choose. You no longer have to shop each month or remember to stop by the store. Each time your package ships, you'll save 10% off your order and everything will ship free. You can even modify or cancel your order at any time. It couldn't be easier. Not to mention that unlike other subscription services, GNC Auto Deliver and Save has no membership fees. So keep focusing on your health and wellness. GNC will take care of getting you the products you need right when you need them. Quality shipped, wellness delivered. Visit GNC.com or a store near you to subscribe to GNC Auto Deliver and Save. That's GNC.com or a store near you to subscribe to GNC Auto Deliver and Save.
For generations, the Shane family's been ethically sourcing our diamonds at the world's 3 diamond centers. Since we eliminate all middlemen and their markups, buy thousands of diamonds every month and pay in cash, we have tremendous buying power. That's why we always get the best price. At Shane Company, whatever diamond grade you choose, you will get a prettier diamond at the absolute best value. Now you have a friend in the diamond business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
When posting on most job sites, you get candidates.
I'm the sales director.
I'm the sales director you're looking for.
But when you post on Indeed.com, you get the candidates just right for you.
I'm a sales director with an MBA, over 10 years experience, who's also fluent in Japanese.
With Indeed, you can add screener questions for a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates.
Arigato.
Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
It's Andrew's Short Story Share Circle with me, Andrew.
We're We're back at You Up with Nikki Glaser. Andrew off air was trying to tell me the end of his choking panic attack story, and it sounded like it was going somewhere, and I didn't want to have to hear it twice. So I stopped him, and I said, "You know what? Why don't we make this your share circle?"
It's gonna be a very short circle.
That's fine. That's because I want to get back to Dan Reichert actually sharing. He wrote a book about anxiety. But what's your little
this
anxiety story?
Is so good. This is gonna bomb. So
What's your
hard.
little story, Andrew?
Do your little story, Andrew.
All right, were people even listening to the choking story? So at the end of the choking story, so I'm in the hallway. I realize I'm not choking. And, I'm coming down. I still wait for the doctor, and the doctor sees me, and I walk in, and she's looking at my chart, and she's looking at me dumbfounded, because she's like, it says here you're choking. And I've been there now in the wait. This is 45 minutes after.
So you were laying on your grandma's carpet. Let's just set this up.
Laying on my grandma.
You thought you got
carpet.
lint in your throat.
Yes.
While laying there, you probably just coughed from the air. You just had a cough, but you convinced yourself there was lint in your throat.
Yeah.
You went across the street to your other grandma's house. She was of no help, nor was her caretaker, who could have actually helped you.
Yeah.
So you went to urgent care. You drove 20 minutes. You were caught in traffic, thinking you're choking and dying the whole way, having a panic attack about this.
Yeah.
Dan Reichert is here, nodding along, he knows this story.
Well, the idea of being in a parking or a driving situation in general is enough to get me, especially a traffic jam. If you were having one already, and then there was that no
on
escape
a highway.
feeling.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that sounds like a
traffic.
nightmare.
There was a lot of traffic too, so the stopping and starting, and then you just want to almost get in an accident. You just want to, you just want to get out of the car.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of panic attacks while driving.
Yeah, I did too for a long time, and that's part of why I was scared to drive on the highway for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, we have a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so you get the emergency room. She's looking at your chart. She sees you, and she sees that this guy is choking on the chart.
She goes, so it says here you're choking, and I was like, yeah, I think, and yeah. And she goes, well, usually there's symptoms, turning blue, shortness of breath, choking. Sorry. It's fine. I told you this short call goes. So and then she's like, you're fine. And I was like, I think I need the x-ray. And I still took an x-ray, and she showed me that it was clear. My throat was, and I swear to God, I'm still driving back, and I'm going, she's wrong.
Yeah.
A woman doc. No. But no, I was really she was wrong. I know it's still there. And even when I was home, I could still feel it, and I couldn't relax. And it went on for another 2 hours, and then you don't really get help. And I mean, I guess I probably should have done medication at that point,
But you didn't know. You thought you were choking. You didn't know you were just anxious.
Yeah, and I still swallow only on my left side. It's still a weird thing that I got. Yeah,
on your left side.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
My strong side.
Yeah.
Wait,
I only swallow on my left side.
I don't have sides of swallowing.
Side.
No, apparently there's no sides that I found out.
I know what you mean.
Wait, you mean
it feels because you're pushing your tongue this way or something.
The food starts out on the side of your mouth, and you swallow from there.
There's parts of your throat that you can try to aim for.
Yes, that's what I do. I do. Yes,
I don't
can try.
this.
I don't think it's real, but you can feel it.
I'm right there with you. Food. I would have periods of
Tweet at us if you know what we're talking about with sides.
Wait a
or
second.
call in
I
if you
try to swallow from the side.
At you up at SXM.
You know what it was? Is I lost.
Nikki Glaser
I think what it was is I lost my tooth on my right side. I lost that tooth.
Right
so chew. Yeah. Oh yeah. You lost one.
Wait a second. I just swallowed on the right side of my.
On the right side.
I did.
Let me try. I could probably do soda on the right. Here. Doesn't feel good, but I did do it.
You only swallow on your left
side.
Yeah, switch to the left.
But I've done it so long now that I'm not afraid of choking. It doesn't really scare me that much.
Okay.
Whoa. But steak, I don't go near steak. Really.
No, you talk about choking all the time, Andrew. That is insane. Of course you I've heard you talk about choking so much.
Mostly on
anything
stage.
stringy?
Steak, airheads, fuck airheads.
Airheads, really? I can handle airheads.
Are you gonna handle
Airheads tear apart very easily.
No,
Wait a second.
a medium rare steak or
Yeah.
close to rare.
Wait,
fuck
how
that.
did you get
hard.
to
What
airheads?
about spaghetti?
Because airheads are chewy.
Why are airheads being confronted within your life on a daily basis?
You're 53 years old, Andrew. You don't need to be eating airheads
Where
anymore.
I
would
need
even
energy.
Get an air.
I had 30 airheads last week.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Me and Dan just became best friends.
I can't believe Airheads. Like a Mento is a better example of like the kind of consistency you're talking
No,
about.
but
Airheads are
this stretches
chewy.
out, so it's like if it doesn't pull apart right, you can choke on it. Like I had like an eggplant
Airheads have a
sandwich the other day that
shell.
did the same
No,
thing.
wait, what?
No,
What are you
Airheads
thinking
are
of?
long. It's taffy.
Oh no.
What are you thinking of?
Oh, I'm thinking,
thinking of those caps.
sour.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
the sour.
Sour Punch straws?
No. They're
You're
little.
talking about the caps.
No,
Lemon
they're
heads?
little. What?
Lemon heads?
Not lemon heads, but they
I
have
know
the
what you're
head
talking
in
about.
it.
Sweet tarts.
Apple heads? There's an
Not
apple
sweet
heads?
tarts. No, sour chews. Hold on, I'm looking this up.
This is
I
so
know what I'm
intense.
talking about. Hold on.
This is
hold
going to
on.
give me a panic attack just going through the candy. Sweet
Damn
tarts.
it! What am I
Milk
thinking?
duds.
I think it's sweet tarts.
Warheads.
Oh, it's warheads. Yes.
That's
Yes.
why I was like, why are
No.
you guys having warheads? Like, why would
You
you?
guys
I
eat
still
warheads
eat those.
lately?
Yeah.
You ever
Yeah.
eat so many you can't feel your tongue
Yeah.
anymore?
Warheads
I thought I
aren't
broke
good.
my tongue
They're
eating
the hot
warheads.
sauce of candy.
They are.
They're just
Yeah.
torture.
I dared my
I
friend.
love 'em.
I dared my friend Tim a couple years ago to put 15 in his mouth at one time, and like all the skin
my
was like
mouth-
off his tongue
We gotta
and
do
hurt
that
for
on
like
air.
days.
Oh,
Let's do
it's
it.
terrible. My mouth is watering right now thinking about.
I wanna do this
warheads,
on
though.
air.
So
I
there's
think this would
something
be so
about
fun.
them.
Lemon heads.
The phones
There's a
are
lot of
lighting up.
heads. Airheads.
A lemon head tore a tooth out of mine while I was getting a haircut once, and so this lady was cutting my hair. I was chewing lemon heads, and I was a kid, and I bit down in one of my molars, and I opened my. You know how they stick together in your teeth?
Yeah.
It pulled a tooth out, and so I was getting
Not
my
a
hair
baby,
cut.
like a
I think it was a baby. I was a kid. I was like 9 or 10, and I like opened my mouth, and just like blood was like, bah. And just the lady cutting my hair was just like, oh no, what do we do?
That's
From a
so
warhead.
funny.
From a lemon head.
Lemon head.
See, lemon heads are probably one of my favorite candies, but
They're
they
way
are
more
very
mild
sticky.
though.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're sticky. They're a pain in the ass to eat. Warheads, it's really just it's like gum almost, where you have that flavor for like 10
2 seconds,
Yeah.
and then it's
and
gone.
then it's like then you just have shitty candy in your
And
mouth.
it's sharp.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They are rough. This is my favorite thing. They sold them for 15 cents each or whatever
Oh, yeah.
at whatever local store when I was a kid, and we would make each other eat them to death, and I loved it. I love intense flavors like that. I like super hot. I love super sour. It's because we were
tearjerkers.
poor. I feel like you want intense flavors because you don't have good food when you're poor. So then you want intense things like
I don't know.
You know
I know
what
a lot of rich people that love hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like because
I guess shitty hot sauce is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, just
I feel like you're getting
Spicy
actually
ketchup?
when you're
Yeah.
poor and you're buying poor like you're buying cheap food, it's like highly concentrated flavor and like all of that stuff. It's like very heightened. It's all lies of
Yeah.
like and that's when you when people eat salads they go, this doesn't taste
That's
like
what
anything.
I mean. You eat strong flavors all the time
Yeah.
because of that.
Oh, because of that.
when you eat like normal food, like bread or chicken or whatever, it tastes like shit because it's not good.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know?
right, because you're not eating good
Not
versions
seasoned
of it.
well,
Right,
yeah.
right. Okay, that makes sense. That does check out. Okay, so. Oh man, I could talk about candy all day though. Like,
Yeah.
let's just like. Oh wait, I remember torturing yourself like with big jawbreakers and
Oh, yeah.
licking your.
and your tongue would bleed.
Tongue bleeds.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Those were so good. Those giant, where
like
you go
sandpaper.
through like
They're
different cores.
not good. I mean, they're good. They're cool as a kid,
Right?
but
It
they're
was,
not
like, different
good.
colors.
They're
But
fun, but they're not good.
jawbreakers are so delicious though, and I
As an
always
adult,
just
you
crack
couldn't-
those right away.
As
Like,
an adult, you couldn't lick a jaw. You would look
No, that would
insane.
so-
Do you eat candy
You
at all
would be
now?
in jail.
no, I haven't had
Yeah.
candy. I just realized that the other day. I haven't had candy in years. I don't
It's
think.
like it
I don't even
doesn't
think
make
about
sense
it.
to eat it, but every once in a while, I still like to
It
have
is
a.
so good. Nerds. I will break
are
down
good.
for a tiny box of Nerds around Halloween.
I like a sour worm or like a Sour Patch Kid.
Yeah, a Nerds rope. I just love Nerds. But okay, so back to choking.
Yeah.
You do talk about choking all the time, Andrew. It still plagues you. You have soft teeth, is that right? Or you don't have enough teeth? Or like you worry about chewing things fully?
Yeah.
Your teeth are like mashed
Do you not
potatoes.
do you not have teeth? Are you missing teeth?
I'm missing 2 back molars.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, as of right now, that's it. My grandpa lost all his teeth. I mean,
And-
I'm bound to be toothless probably
But
within
why
the
not-
next couple years here.
What's the option for you for just back molars? Can you get like a denture of just molars though?
Oh yeah, I never really.
Because couldn't you use that?
I got root canal at one point, but the root canals went bad.
Okay.
And then I just had like a hole in the root canal, which then goes really deep.
Yeah.
And then that made your tooth hurt like crazy.
Oh.
And then they had to rip out. My cousin took out. I don't even know if he's a dentist. He claims he's a dentist. I swear to God, he's like, yeah, I could take it out. And I met him. He has like a house/office kind of thing. And he's like, I think actually a surgeon should do this. I was like, I don't have money for a surgeon. He's like, all right, I'll charge you $100.
All of a sudden, I'm a surgeon. For $100, I'll be a surgeon.
For a cool 100 spot, he took it out. It took him like 2 hours to take out this root canal, and he's just sweating with pliers, and it was insane. Dude.
Did you have any anesthesia, any local?
He gave me a shot of whiskey. No. He shot me with Novocaine, but it was like it was like old school. It was like 40 years ago of trying to get a root canal out. Jesus. And but yeah, good guy though, cousin Neil. Look him up. He's in Long Island.
To not have your two back molars, that's why you're chewing on one side of your mouth and swallowing on one side. Be like, you just don't use that side of your mouth. I've had tooth pain before, and you just stop using it.
They're even now. I have molar on each side. So
you're missing both on. Oh my God, Andrew, how do you chew anything?
That's why I go with mush. I eat a lot of mush. Right? You a big mush guy?
Yeah, I love mush.
Yeah.
Macaroni and cheese.
Because you're also scared of choking Dan.
I have that, and also like every tooth thing he just said for the most part. I have horrifying things that I won't repeat because it's almost identical to his.
Wow.
I've had a whole history of dental issues, but I'll have periods of like.
Is it because of the candy consumption? Is it because you recently can look back and think of when you ate you remember the last time you ate a Warhead, which you shouldn't be able to, as an adult, that should not be something you know.
I mean, I had like a whole pack of Twizzlers pull and peel like a night or two ago.
Okay.
So yeah, I eat a lot of candy. But yeah, I will have periods of months sometimes where like I'll have the choking fear, where it's like just one time it feels like something got lodged for a second, or like you're trying to swallow a Centrum and it got kind of lodged weird or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you worry about that for the longest time.
Is it actually down?
Yeah. And so like every bite you have to like hype yourself up for like, okay, it's on my tongue right now. I'm going to swallow it. And oh wait, I can't do it. And then like you have to chew it until it's mush, basically.
Let's go to a caller. We have Eric in Dallas who chokes all the time. Eric, tell us about, do you have anxiety disorder from your choking, or do you just choke all the time and deal with it?
It's actually from food allergies. It causes a white blood cell accumulation in my esophagus, which closes my esophagus slowly over time.
Oh, shit.
If I eat. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
When I,
That's very scary.
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking about chewing stuff until it's mush, so that if I don't chew everything really well, then I end up choking.
Jesus.
And I can't take. Yeah.
He has like a real issue.
What's your allergy?
Yeah. This is the actual problem.
Yeah. Well, when you were saying that you've been choking on things a lot, it kind of made me think that you might have something similar, because there's a couple of different conditions that cause that, and they can actually fix it. You just have to take a steroid inhaler, but that comes along with other problems anyway.
I feel like you actually have a reason to be concerned, whereas these guys, their anxiety is like just a thing that happens to you during the day, like that anyone, like, you have heartburn where like you'll move a certain way and go, ooh, and you just gotta like freeze.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling where you freeze and you wait for it because you're like, if I move, it's gonna go again.
Yep.
Everyone just freezes and waits. They don't go, I have to go to the emergency room now. Like, we all kind of know that's it kind of makes me
but my
think
grandpa had 4 heart attacks.
Right.
My other grandpa had 2 heart attacks.
No,
my
they will take you down someday. It will kill you.
That will
like
be
you
on
said.
my tombstone. Like he got it right, or you know what I mean? Like he wasn't wrong.
Yes. Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
okay.
Eventually it'll get us.
So then, Dan, how did you figure out that you actually had an anxiety disorder? And that was.
It was like 6 months of going to doctors, like so many different doctors, psychiatrists, all this stuff, like just testing everything, blood tests, heart tests, all this stuff, checking my esophagus to make sure there wasn't actually a problem there. And, like this is a very common thing with people with anxiety disorders is they do this and you get everything checked and you almost want to hear that like, oh, it's this thing.
Yeah.
And because otherwise it's like, what what the hell is it? And so, and back then it wasn't really talked about as much. Anxiety disorders weren't.
Crazy.
So,
it wasn't, though.
Yeah, so I finally had a doctor. I think it was the campus doctor at KU. Remember they had that medical center?
Yeah.
I think he used the phrase panic disorder first time I heard that, and that gave me something to like look up. And like that was a thing I could put in quotes and Google and find, like, back then there would be like little message boards and things where people had it. And it was like, okay, now I've got this thing I can target, and now I can search and find out what helped people, what didn't help. And I remember thinking that if back then, if there was a book that was just this relatable thing that kind of described a similar situation that I felt, it would make me feel like, okay, it's not just me. I'm not just crazy. And that's part of why I wrote the book, is because I wanted it to be this relatable thing that shows like, you're not crazy. It's not this thing that only you're dealing with. You know, I went to, like, they had like support groups back at KU, and I would, see people talking about it. And, it's like, it really helped a lot to know that you weren't the only one.
And like having a group. It's like when Andrew discovered incels. Like he was like, now I have people like me out there involuntary celibate.
I really have no idea what incels are.
Keep it that way.
Yeah, don't Google. Don't put that in quotes and Google it.
He's like, I finally have a community that we can tear down women with.
Oh,
right.
I am into that.
Involuntarily celibate is what it stands for. And it was started by a woman.
Yeah, I know. And then it quickly turned on her.
Yeah, really did.
And now they think that the government should make women fuck them or whatever.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, these are guys that just can't get laid?
Yeah, 100%. And they take it out on women.
Not fair.
Yeah, and they kill women because of it. Like,
that van attack in Toronto.
Yeah, the
Do
guy
they have
that
anxiety? Do they have anxiety?
They probably have a lot of things going on.
Yeah, they think they're choking on on not choking anyone with their dick. They're so angry. Anyway, thank you for bringing up that.
Sorry.
Tom. That really is no. So the Holocaust. No. So Dan, okay. So you wrote this book. How did you approach writing this book? Like, I love that this just desire for yourself to have a community, and you knew as soon as you felt like you were part of a group, it didn't have control over your life as much. You were like, I want to put that out there. Has it helped people?
Yeah, in fact, it's my favorite feedback to get. Like, we go to these video game conventions and we do our live shows and everything, and we always do like meet and greet stuff afterwards and pictures and all that. And I get a whole lot of like, oh, I loved it when you played Mario Party with the guys. I loved when you did this thing. But the thing I hear the most is like, a lot of times these guys will kind of like pull me aside because you can tell they're still kind of like shy about it, and there's a group of people waiting to meet.
Yes.
And they'll be like, hey, I just really want to thank you for writing that book. Like, because of that, I got into meditation. I've been running. Like, I'm healthier than I've ever been. I lost 100 pounds, or like it's just like crazy stuff that I didn't anticipate would like. It was more like an autobiographical thing. It was just kind of telling my story, and then like the last third is kind of like some tips on the specific things I've done to make things manageable. So like, I don't know. I didn't
talk to me about the Conan thing, because I think that this is a thing I've heard over and over, is like people feeling anxious that they're not going to be able to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's or just
get
leave
up and
a situation.
Leave.
Yeah,
which is never the case, maybe ever, except if you're on a plane.
Planes are a huge thing, but like Conan. So this was right when you took over the Tonight Show, and I was in town for E3, and I remember it distinctly. It was Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Bradley Cooper were the guests, and they had the warm-up comic come out. I can't remember if it was Jimmy Pardo or something.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was happening, and then at the end he was like, "Hey everyone, like just so you know, starting in like 5 minutes, no getting up to go to the bathroom. You cannot get up." And so I was just sitting there like, oh my God, like I can't get up. That was enough to like, get me kind of heightened anxiety. And then it's also like, I'm seeing Conan for the first time, which has been like a life, I grew up idolizing him and everything. And like the idea of like, you kind of visualize all these things that you think you're certain are going to happen. Like, oh, he's going to be in the middle of interviewing someone or in the middle of a monologue joke. And like, I'm going to freak out and I'm going to have to get up and like push past all these people and run down. It's going to cause a scene. They're going to have to reshoot the monologue and all this stuff. And you just think about all these scenarios that never happen. These scenarios never, ever happen.
How are you in your chair? Are you moving around a lot in your chair, like changing how you're sitting?
I do some of that, some shifting. Like if I'm having like a real bad time, like you
try to find the right way to.
Wait, because what's that gonna do?
No, it doesn't do anything. But like you.
But for you, like that seems to be a coping mechanism.
Yeah, if I sit back, I could relax. But then it just
like in a similar situation, if someone says you cannot get up to go to the bathroom for the next 44 minutes. That is going to trigger you to start shifting in your chair.
Yeah, I remember I went to a play like on Broadway, which is even worse than a movie theater because it's so quiet.
Yeah.
And if you get up, I mean, you're part of the play now in your head. And so like, I don't know, I'll cross my legs,
What's that going to do?
I just try to find my comfortable place.
Okay, yeah, you're just trying to get
It's like moving around a lot in a bed when you're trying to sleep. Like how can you finally fall asleep? But then times a million because.
God.
And then like I'll sit straight, and I'll be like, I'll just sit straight. Oh, I'm stoic, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm too relaxed, and then I'll start feeling tingly. I'll be like, oh, I don't know. You try to find it,
torture.
and that's literally an hour.
And
the play was great though,
because in your head.
Yeah, what sucks is also I can't enjoy. The play. Like you can't be present.
That's what bummed me out about this Conan thing is like this is your dream. Like you get to see this, and you couldn't even enjoy it.
No, I mean, looking back, I'm glad I've seen him more since then or whatever. But yeah, I was just kind of freaking out, and I keep a I go to therapy and everything, and a doctor a long time ago back in Kansas told me like, hey, I'm going to prescribe you Xanax, and you can just kind of keep it on a keychain or whatever, and think of it as a fire extinguisher. It's not something that you were going to use that often, but even just knowing it's there.
Oh, I love that. Good doctor.
Yeah, like I've got it in my pocket right now, and like I haven't taken a Xanax in years, I think. But just knowing it's there.
How much do you want for it? You got it on you right now? Okay, cool.
It just helps. It just feels like there's like an emergency release where it's like, okay, if I'm on a plane or I'm in a crowd or something, I can take half of this tiny thing and it's going to at least, calm me down or whatever. But yeah, I took one. I remember my hands were like shaking because it was when the music was starting. Like Max Weinberg was playing back when Max was still there.
Sure.
And I was like, oh my God, this is really happening. I'm locked in. I'm so nervous. And my hands were just like shaking trying to open this
thing. You don't have water to swallow it.
I was just going to say that. So that's a nightmare for me
I'm
here.
Choke.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And that's another thing. If you're anxious, is like your mouth just becomes completely dry.
So you're just dry mouthing the
completely
Xanax.
Dry mouth. Xanax doesn't taste good, so I'm putting it on my tongue like
it's
trying to swallow it down. Left side's not working. Right side's not working. And then I took it, and sure enough, it's a pretty quick onset with that stuff. It's 10 or 15 minutes. You kind of start feeling it, and it works. It does. But yeah, like Julia Louis-Dreyfus was getting interviewed, and next thing I knew, I kind of like woke up and like a band was playing. I was like, what the fuck happened here?
But nobody like called you out or anything.
No, I don't think I was like drooling or causing a scene or anything like that.
So, what tips do you offer in the book that have helped you?
Well, I've tried everything from like I've been prescribed a million different things. I've done things like acupuncture. I've tried all these things that did not work out for me, which I take great pains in the book to make sure I say I'm not a doctor, and like medicine is a very specific thing where it's like, hey, Paxil didn't work for me at all, but for someone else, Paxil might be the thing that fixes things. And like Zoloft kind of agreed with me. Like when I was on that, I could notice that did help. And so you got to talk to a doctor, see what they say.
Are you still on Zoloft?
I'm not on anything.
Oh, wow.
I take nothing now.
Got it.
And so yeah, the two things that 100% helped were exercise and meditation. And meditation, number one.
Number one.
That is the thing that was like a night and day difference.
Night and day. And I tried to sell my friend on it the other night because he is having panic disorder. And I was like, dude, I don't know how to tell you this because it sounds crazy, but sitting for 20 minutes a day and doing the easiest thing you'll do all day, literally, and it's the last thing you want to do when you are stressed out about anything is sit alone with your thoughts, because then there's the pressure of I shouldn't have thoughts. There's so much pressure around meditation. It literally, I've talked about this on the show a million times. I was on Zoloft. I was on 200 milligrams of Zoloft a day, the highest dose you can take. I weaned myself off it. My depression came back full force, anxiety, depression, unwanted thought syndrome, all of it, debilitating. I started meditating and it's gone. It's fucking gone. All of those thoughts. I was ready to check myself into a home. I was really like ready to take control away from myself because I was scared of harming myself. I hated my life. And this was months ago. And I read up about meditation, and it literally, it is it's like taking a Xanax. It works like medicine.
It does. And the thing is, it's free, obviously. You can do it pretty much anywhere. And I think a lot of people, because I've talked to a lot of people that try to start, and the roadblock for a lot of people is like, I'm not good at it. I try to sit for 10 minutes. My thoughts are going everywhere. But it's like the thing they don't get is that like that is the practice. The practice isn't like if you're good at it, oh, you have a totally clear mind the whole time and you don't think of anything else. No, I've been meditating since I was 18. And the whole practice is you wait, you focus on the breath or your body or whatever you want to focus on. Or mantra. And then as you notice these thoughts come in, something will come in like, oh, I got to go to the store. I got to do this thing. Oh, shit, this thing will work, whatever. You just acknowledge that thought came in because that's going to happen, and you let it kind of float on by.
Yeah.
And then every time you do that and return to the breath, that's like curling a weight or something.
Yes.
Like it's like you're getting better at this.
That is the way to say it, because that's what they taught me in the course that I took, is that when you have this train of thoughts where, like this morning I meditated and I was like thinking about my set from last night, and I was literally 10 minutes into not saying my mantra.
Yeah.
Sitting in silence, with my eyes closed, thinking thoughts about my mundane thoughts, not even realizing I'm meditating. The second I go, oh shit, I'm meditating, and I go back to it, guess what? I just did a ton of sit-ups. That whole time when I was thinking, I was deep diving in that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't saying the mantra. So I could say, I had such a shitty meditation. I didn't even say my mantra. No, I had a fucking great meditation.
And that's the mistake that beginning meditators make, is that they think they're bad at it. But
Yes.
really, like, everyone is that way. Like
Everyone, and it never changes. You've been doing it since you were 18. It doesn't change.
Yeah, and for the longest time, I thought I was bad at it, and I always said, like, oh, I would love to get to the period where I could do 30 minutes at a time.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, oh, I can never do that. I can't even make it to 15. And I've had like full like periods of like 2 or 3 years where I was meditating an hour a day every morning. You know, like you can get better at this. Like, it's not something that's limited, like, weights. You can't go in and squat 400 pounds if you don't lift weights, but you can go in and meditate. Try 10 minutes.
It really, I couldn't. If you would have told me this, like, I don't think I would have ever believed that it could be as life changing as it has been for me. Like a medicine. Like, literally, if I miss a meditation, I have my unwanted thoughts about animals dying in cages, which is the thoughts that creep into my head that I can't help. They start, and I go, oh shit, I didn't meditate yesterday. It literally keeps these things at bay, and I don't know how it does it, but it fucking works, and it's free.
Well, and I think it works because it changes the way you approach things. Like, even when I'm not meditating, I'm not doing an hour a day every day. I'm doing it kind of when I can now.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not super structured, but just through all the things I've learned about your own thought processes and how your brain works and everything through meditating, because you are observing your thoughts. So, like, if I'm sitting here right now and if I feel anxious or whatever, I'll recognize that thought coming in that, like, oh, are you getting anxious? You're going to have a panic attack? And maybe 10, 15 years ago, that would have been a snowball going down a hill, and next thing you know, I'd be like having to leave the room or whatever. But now, since I've meditated so much, I'm so used to that sensation of, like, thoughts coming in that I don't really want to deal with right now. And it's not ignoring it. It's just like, hey, now it's just not the time. Like, I'll think about that after I'm done meditating, or like once this thing's done. It's easy to just let those unwanted thoughts just kind of drift off.
Yeah, I'm so glad you really nailed, because I always try to, like, convey this and how it works, and I think it's good to hear it from a guy who, like, is a dude that I didn't even know you meditated, but it makes complete sense for the turnaround that I've seen in you since college,
really?
Since you were 18. I mean, it makes complete sense now that I've practiced it and realized what it does for me. But I hear a lot after people meditate, like, once or twice, they're like, I felt like I was, and I said this too, like, I felt like I was floating, and I'm like, well, then you're doing it wrong, because that's not, all of this om and, like, being on a mountaintop in Fiji, like, it's, none of that is what meditation is. It literally is just sitting down. You could do it on the train. You could do it in a concert.
It's not new agey. There's not a spiritual thing. It's kind of like how yoga, like, people that don't do yoga think that, like, oh, it's this, like, new agey spiritual thing where you've got to deal with your chakras or whatever. But no, you can also just go to yoga and exercise. You know, and that's how I look at meditation, is like, it's just a health thing. It's like, I don't attach any spirituality or anything to it. It's just something I do to keep myself sane.
All right. I mean, I love it. Thank you for talking about, like, I'm so glad to hear you meditate, because I was I get so mad because I'm just screaming at my friend the other night, being like, please just try it. Just try it a little bit. It will change your life as you know it.
Here's an
I have to go to break. Hold on.
Yeah, sorry.
Will you hold that analogy? Meditation analogy coming up. Hey guys, with GNC Auto Deliver and Save, don't worry about missing a daily dose of your must-have. Can't live without vitamins and supplements. Once you set up your free subscription, GNC, they take care of the rest. I fucking love GNC. Sorry I said fucking GNC, but I love you guys. I go there all the time. I'm a member, but you don't even need to be a member to sign up for Auto Deliver and Save. They'll ship you your products automatically at a frequency you choose. You no longer have to shop each month or remember to stop by the store, which, by the way, I like going into a GNC store. They're clean. They're organized. I know where everything is. I can trust them. They all are like the same. There's something very comforting about that. Each time your package ships with GNC Auto Deliver and Save, you'll save 10% off your whole order, and everything will ship for free. You can modify or cancel your order at any time, and unlike other subscription services, like I said, you do not have to join you don't have to be a member to get Auto Deliver and Save. So keep focusing on your health and wellness. GNC, they'll take care of the rest by shipping you the products you need right when you need them. Quality shipped, wellness delivered, free shipping, and 10% off your order. Go to GNC.com or a store near you to subscribe to GNC Auto Deliver and Save. That's GNC.com or a store near you to subscribe to GNC Auto Deliver and Save. More with Dan Reichert, Andrew Collin, and Tom Takar after this.
The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. When the news breaks, we break it again.
Donald Trump says he'll testify with Mueller under oath just before he gets on a plane to Switzerland. Man, that guy knows how to leave us with a cliffhanger. One day he'll just be like, before I go, big news, I'm pregnant. Bye-bye.
The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Weeknights at 11 on Comedy Central.
Hear nonstop coverage of the NBA free agency free-for-all on NBA Radio. After 8 straight trips to the NBA Finals, LeBron James is a free agent.
Behind the back to LeBron, he hammers it. And the Cavaliers have their largest lead.
Will he stay in Cleveland or take his talents to another team? We're tracking the Kings' every move and keeping tabs on who's coming and going on your favorite squad. Follow NBA free agency on NBA Radio, Sirius 207, XM86, and streaming on your phone or at home on Sirius XM connected devices and speakers.
Are you confused by all the talk about a good night's sleep? Listen, there's a lot of new mattress companies out there, but they're all missing something. They're missing expertise. That's why you should discover Tomorrow, the luxury mattress by the world's top sleep experts at Serta Simmons Bedding. You know the name, Serta Simmons. Well, now there's the Tomorrow mattress. The Tomorrow mattress is not like the rest. It combines the comfort of memory foam with the support of inner spring coils for deep, uninterrupted sleep. You can only get the Tomorrow mattress at one place, and that's tomorrowsleep.com. Tomorrowsleep.com. You'll get an amazingly comfortable mattress for half of what you pay in stores. They're so confident you'll love your Tomorrow mattress, they're going to get you a whole year risk-free trial. If you don't love it, they'll come pick up your return out of the box for free. Learn to love your bed. Use promo code COMEDY1 at tomorrowsleep.com for $125 off when spending $500 or more. Transform your tomorrow at tomorrowsleep.com.
I'm Tom Shane.
Hey guys, I'm Tom's son, Rorden Shane.
Ever since my grandfather started Shane Company, we wanted to be different from every other jeweler by offering all kinds of engagement ring styles that no other jeweler had.
Dad, that's still true. All my friends who are getting engaged want a ring that's totally unique. That's what's so great about having our own design team. They're designing rings just for us, for every budget.
Now you have a friend in the diamond business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here to announce that KFC's new Crispy Colonel Sandwich is now available in a $5 fill-up. Why? Because who wants to spend $7 on a meal at a burger place when you could spend $5 on a new KFC Crispy Colonel Sandwich, wedges, a cookie, and a drink at KFC? I mean, we specialize in chicken. You need another reason? I didn't think so. Try the new Crispy Colonel Sandwich and a $5 fill-up at KFC today. KFC, it's finger-licking good. Limited time offer at participating KFCs. Tax extra.
Don't say yes if you can't say no. Victim of the system, say it isn't so. Squatted on the doorstep, swallowed all the blood. Leaving without you, can't say no. Halfway starts with...
We're back at You Up with Nikki Glaser. We're talking about meditation, and anxiety, which we talk about all the time on the show. But we have someone here who really knows what he's talking about. Dan Reichert from Panning the Stream is the podcast. He is also the author of Anxiety as an Ally, which is a great book to pick up if you suffer with anxiety disorder or know someone who does. You can find it on Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay, Anxiety as an Ally. That is Dan Reichert is the author. He is also does a multitude of other things. If you're just tuning into the show, you're going to want to hear this whole episode. It's been great top to bottom. Dan has amazing stories, so make sure to check it out on demand. Okay, some questions about what you were about to make an analogy about meditation.
Oh, yeah, just a pretty simple analogy that I think about with meditation, or if I'm trying to describe it to someone, is that, like, imagine if you're sitting by a river and there are boats coming down the river, and if those boats, like, represent your thoughts,
yeah,
you're not going to get in the river and climb up and swim up and get into there and, like, really, attach yourself to this boat.
Even though you might be interested in what's going on that boat.
Exactly. Like, it might be this really interesting looking boat. You're not going to jump in the water and climb aboard.
Right.
So meditating is just...
Even though they're like, come on.
Right.
Come here, swim over.
Right. Meditating is just seeing the boat, acknowledging that the boat is there, and just watching it go by.
Yep.
That's it.
That's a great analogy. I really like that a lot. Tom, during the break, Tom has meditated before, and Noah also has, and they were both saying that it's hard to make time. Like, how do you just make it a practice? How do you just force yourself to do it? Because that is a difficult part of it.
When I was doing the daily stuff, like, you just make it a priority. You make it a part of your day, and once you get into a habit, it's kind of easier to keep. Like right now, like I said, I should be better about it. I kind of do it here and there when I have time, you know, after work, or if I get up early enough, I'll do it.
Or if you feel like you need it. Like, do you ever feel like you I was texting with someone yesterday who meditates, and he was like having an anxious moment, and he overheard a conversation that he was just like, I fucking hate this guy. And I was like, I would love to see your reaction right now, because I just could imagine it was funny. And he goes, I literally just started meditating. And I was like, oh, you meditate? Like, yeah, I do that too. If I'm just all of a sudden like where you just go, oh, like I was trying to masturbate yesterday and it wasn't going well, and I just like ripped it out of me, and I was just, I was so mad because I'm like, I've been doing this for an hour, I can't come, I hate everything, and I literally like slammed the fucking thing on the bed, and I was just like,
When you say it, you mean the womanizer, right? Not
no,
like a hamster.
no, it was
okay.
the womanizer was I had already thrown away because I was just like, it's not good enough today. I need something inside, and so I took the rabbit or whatever thing I had, and I banged it on. I was just like, I hate it, and I was like so anxious, and I'm feeling it now again. I'm just so angry I can't come recently, and then I just realized like, oh, I need to meditate. So I just I closed my eyes and I just meditated for like 2 minutes just to get me back on track, just saying my mantra, which, by the way, I said my mantra maybe twice, and then I just started having thoughts, and then I was, like, the thing is, like, you don't need to have the mantra, you don't need to be focusing on your breathing. It's all about thoughts more than there's some whatever propaganda is out there that meditation is no thoughts. We need to like stop that, because I think it's stopping people from trying it.
It's critical to the entire process.
Exactly.
And like, if somebody doesn't like mantra-based meditation, there's body scan meditation, there's breath-based meditation. That's probably the biggest beginner one, is focusing on your breath. You got very specific ones like TM that are mantra focused and everything, but there are so many different ways you can do it. There's walking meditations. There's a million different ways you can do it.
Well, that's why a lot of people have their best thoughts or their most deep thoughts or creative thoughts when they're driving or they're in the shower, because it's a repetitive thing. You're not watching it's like meditation. It's meditative. When I'm at the dentist, I felt a lot of times having long operations, my mind would go places where I'm like, whoa, what's happening? And I realized now I was meditating because I was forced to just stare at a wall. And so it became meditative. Scuba diving also, because you're just hearing your breathing like in and out, it becomes meditative. So and then the other thing, Tom, you mentioned falling asleep.
Yeah, me and Andrew were talking about that. Like,
yes, that's another thing. You set your timer and then you fall asleep. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Constantly.
The way to combat that is to sit upright. And it's still, even then, I will fall asleep. And sometimes I just go, well, you needed to sleep, bitch.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that happens to me all the time.
All the time.
It's always a really good nap, too.
Yeah, it's a great nap, because at least you got some in the beginning.
The sitting can be tough for people. Like, I'm very, I'm not flexible in my hips and my lower back. So I'm, so uncomfortable that I can't get into that.
How do you sit right now? You're sitting right now.
Yeah, I am.
So
I should sit like this, but I think a lot of people, if they don't know about they think they have to sit with their legs crossed.
Here's another thing.
That's another.
I would get out of the bed. I try to sit on the bed a lot of times. I would get out of the bed just because it's easy to kind of sit, but lounge. It's easy to just kind of smooth into a sleeping position in bed. Better than nothing, obviously. But for you, you're absolutely right. People think you have to sit on a mat on the floor or a tree with your
face east.
Feng shui. You have to have your legs crossed in a peculiar position.
Head shaved.
Literally, when I get into meditation, when I want to meditate, I just get on the couch and I shift during the whole. Andrew has watched me meditate the past 2 days.
That's
We've
my
hung
meditation. Is watching you.
I go, I'm going to meditate. I go to take a nap. I couldn't nap or masturbate or whatever I was trying to do in there. I didn't try to masturbate when you were there. I promise I won't do that to you.
That time.
No. It was later on in the day when I had that meltdown. But so I go out and I meditate on the couch, and Andrew was just walking. I heard him walking around doing whatever he was doing. But I should
have been meditating
as well. You
should
have. I'm going to make you do it with me now, because it doesn't matter if you're shifting around. It doesn't matter. Literally, during my meditation, all you do is just find a comfortable spot. Just try to be as upright and as comfortable as possible. Shift as much as you want to during the whole thing. Get up and walk across the room and find a better chair during the meditation while your timer's going. The thing about the timer that a lot of people get on is that, okay, if sometimes I'll set my timer for 21 minutes. So I ease into it, I say the mantra, and then I'm like, I want to check if, or I have to text this person. I realize I want to do it now and I want to do it. Guess what? I pick up my phone, I shoot out the text, I set it back down, I don't stop the timer, I don't worry about, oh no, I have to add on 30 seconds later because that took. I just am like, forget, it's fine. All of it's fine.
There's not really any failing. Like if you sat down to do it, whether you did it for a minute or 10 minutes or you had thoughts the whole time or no thoughts the whole time, it's better than not doing it.
It's the one
fail
thing.
at it.
No, it's the one thing in my life.
What if I just start playing video games during it?
Fine. Literally, it is the one thing in my life that I never judge myself for about doing a bad job, or if a good meditative practice, the ideal is 21 minutes or 22. 1 minute to get into it, 20 minutes of meditating, 1 minute to get out of it. If I get in 7 minutes, I'm like, good job, girl. Like, it's just, can't fuck it up.
Does that help you with stand-up in the sense, like,
yes.
you go up and you're like, I don't need to win this set, but which will make you funnier because then you're more present.
I think about meditation and sets, meditative, because I do about 2 sets a day, I would say on average, and I do 2 meditative sessions a day for the same amount of time, about 20 minutes. They are so similar now that you say that because they're forgettable. I don't go, wow, that was a really good one, even if it is a good one, or that was I bombed, even if it was a bad one. I'm just like, it's all just part of the fucking process. And what meditation does more than anything is when you are faced with those dilemmas where you have a panic attack coming on. For me, it's like, and I've told this example before on the show, but I realized when meditation was working for me, when I woke up one morning, I was getting ready for work, and I realized I left my purse in the cab the night before. Generally, I would lose my fucking mind. I would start going, you dumbass, you fucking idiot. I would say that to myself in my apartment. I would start throwing things. I would go, you're such a fucking idiot. Whatever I was telling myself, I would just freak out. And because why wouldn't you? You just lost your purse. You have to go down.
I left my phone in a cab over the weekend, and I was like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
But in this time,
and I was right.
No, that's what I would do probably today because I'm feeling really anxious and I haven't meditated enough recently. I should do double a day, but I've been doing single because I am. And I when I had that purse incident, I was just like, okay, well, what do I do now?
What about when I
what
came
are the
over
steps that
and you had the water in the house and like that whole thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My apartment was flooding.
You were
I got
locked
locked
out.
out for an hour and a half. My
had to be
faucet
somewhere.
was running. I didn't have my phone. I had been locked out. I was calm as a fucking cucumber, except when I walked in, I buried my head in the couch because the apartment was flooding. I just went over to the couch and I go, oh no, oh no. And then how quickly did I recover from that?
Yeah, it's quick.
Quick.
It was quick.
I freaked out for a second, but it would have been I wouldn't have been able to go out that night having deal with what had just happened. But I left 2 minutes later. And it's meditation. I swear to God. Okay. George in New York City has a helpful tip for anxiety. Okay. George. George. Are you there? I don't think he's there anymore. George.
Oh, there he is. Is he opening a car?
Yeah.
George. All right. Well.
Hello?
Yes. Oh, God damn it, George. Where have you been?
Yeah.
George.
George is here.
Everything's
he talks
okay,
to the
George.
Third person.
He has a helpful tip for anxiety.
What's that? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you,
can hear you, George.
All right. No, I apologize. I didn't hear your part about the timer. But my meditation started off with a pack of cigarettes, a pot of coffee, and the stereo on.
Yeah.
And it's evolved since then. I'd like to thank you guys for reminding me because I've been out of the discipline for a while.
Yeah.
But when I was at my peak in life was when I was meditating 10, 15, 20 minutes a day.
Yep.
So thank you for reminding me. Now I can get back to it.
Right.
Because, discipline is basically for me is addiction. It could be a discipline for Haagen-Dazs ice cream.
Yes.
The one thing that I overheard, because when I first sat down, it was like, I can't sit for 10 minutes. I can't sit for 5 minutes. And I overheard a conversation of people saying, well, just set a timer. And that made a world of difference for me because it took time out of the equation.
Right.
And that's all I really wanted to say. But as I'm listening,
George.
I hear you guys talking about it already. So
No, you're not wrong.
Right,
I think you're right. But let me just even say, when I would set a timer, sometimes I'm like, did it not go off?
Yes.
How has this not been 20 minutes? And then I'll check it a million times. totally fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine to pick up your phone and check a million times. The other day I was meditating and I was doing the Jimmy Carr Netflix show. I was taping, and we were about to tape in like 25 minutes. I had 20 minutes to meditate. I didn't put a sign on the door, but I told the PA, I was like, hey, can you like tell people I'm meditating not to come in here? 10 minutes in, a woman knocks on the door and is like, can I get some LaCroix for the makeup? And I was like, yeah, go. So I watched her go into the fridge. I just like opened my eyes, watched her, talked to her a little bit. She left and I went right back into it. Can finish the meditation. I wasn't like, oh no, I have to start over. I have to start myself.
Yeah,
it's like,
but you did get her fired after, and I think that was the right thing to do.
She got let go, and
you were calm while you were doing it.
Yeah,
yeah, that's the thing.
Fired. You're fired.
It's one of those things, and it's 6 people. I got into it because people whose careers and lives I want and who I look at and go, wow, they seem to have it together. They do that. That's why I quit drinking. That's why I started meditation.
That's why I started Adderall.
And that's why I started Adderall. It's like you see people practice these things and you go, I want their life. Well, look at what they're doing, dummy.
Before I was having issues with it, I remember reading a book about Andy Kaufman back in high school, and I guess he would demand like an hour completely uninterrupted, like if he was doing a show somewhere, like, okay, this is my room where I'm doing this for an hour, nobody knock on this door and nobody come in here. And I remember thinking like, oh, that wacky Andy Kaufman with his meditating and everything.
Yes.
And then like, flash forward and it's like, oh, I totally see why that's helpful.
It's the best. Okay, we've got a little bit more time left on the show. I love this show today. Sorry I got off. You get me talking about meditation, and it's just a good night. I want to talk about your wedding. You got married when? Last year? 2017.
Yesterday was my anniversary, my first anniversary.
Congratulations.
Hey,
you made a year. Yeah. To Bianca is your betrothed, and you met her on OkCupid. We are, we're going to talk to my mom next, but I also, we should talk to my mom about your wedding, because your wedding is a great story. You got your wedding sponsored by a company, correct?
I won a contest.
You won a contest, and your wedding was fully paid for.
Yeah, until tax day came around, and then I learned it.
And then you learned that when you're given a gift, you have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, it turns out pre-weddings can be $20,000 sometimes.
Oprah, you get a car, and a $17,000 tax. Yeah. Okay.
Fun check to write.
So we'll find out about all that when we get back. More with Dan Reichert after this.
From wildin', and we got 3 more days till Friday. I'm just trying to make it back home by Monday morning.
I'm Jordan Klepper, and I'm here to burst your liberal bubble. When I was a kid, clothes were simple. Boys wore suits, girls wore dresses, and dogs wore nothing because they're perverts.
The Opposition with Jordan Klepper, weeknights at 11:30 after The Daily Show.
Just in time for summer, the Beach Boys are coming to SiriusXM.
Serving USA. There was this whole thing going on in Southern California.
Wouldn't it be nice? Soak up the surf songs and sun-kissed harmonies.
Good Vibrations, the Beach Boys channel.
Happening now.
I think Brian had that all figured out.
For a limited time on SiriusXM Spotlight Channel 4 and streaming and connected devices and speakers.
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/comedy. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. It's the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/comedy. That's ZipRecruiter.com/comedy. ZipRecruiter.com/comedy.
Shane Company has the best warranty in the jewelry business. It's free for life and even includes the center stone. We'll clean and inspect your jewelry at no charge as often as you wish. If something happens or looks like it might happen, we'll take care of it for free. Most jewelers hide behind the fine print in their warranties. At Shane Company, there is no fine print. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Nikki's mom kinda knows what's going on. She's been on hold and she's waited for so long. Nikki, can't you see that she's doing this for free? I know she might be wrong, but I want to hear from Nikki's mom.
What up, mommy? It's You Up with Nikki Glaser. My mom is on the phone.
Hey, Mom.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Hey, Hottie.
Everyone.
Hey, Hottie.
Oh, God, Andrew. Stop.
Stop it, Andrew.
Andrew.
You love Andrew, Mom. You and Andrew became very close. You guys got
Little
tattoos.
too close. Hands above the table next time you're in New York.
Now, Tom, it didn't go like that, darn it.
Darn it.
Darn it.
How funny was my mom when we went to dinner after Fallon?
Oh, with the gummy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
It was great.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, my God.
You were so funny.
What? It could have been a
She
normal
ate a gummy. She ate a gummy candy.
Oh, my God.
With a
Well,
warhead.
when in New York.
Yeah, we were. It's not a big deal. They're legal. So you ate a half a gummy, which I usually eat 2 full gummies. She ate a half of one.
Yeah.
And then we got to dinner, and she was. And I've never seen my mom not hungry. Like when we go to like a fun dinner that I'm paying for, like she's not gonna not eat. And we went to the meatball shop, and she got her food, and she was like, "I'm not hungry, Nick." I'm not hungry. Happy about it too. I'm not hungry. And I go, okay. And she's like, it's that damn gummy. That's that
It
gummy.
filled you up.
No, she whispered it. She whispered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She goes,
that damn gummy.
gummy. And I go, do you think someone's going to hear you say gummy and go, this woman has ingested pot and arrest you? Like my mom has this fear. She will whisper about pot like in a house.
Yeah.
She thinks like, I don't know who you think is listening ever. It's so funny.
I don't know. Well, now we have Alexa listening. Google it.
It is
That's a
true.
good point.
And our phones.
This is Julie's Corner, and Julie's Corner is brought to you in part by Dish, ranked #1 in customer service nationally by J.D. Power and their customers. Dish, tuned in to you. To learn more, call 1-844-CALL-DISH or go to dish.com. Mom, we had a lot of fun in New York and St. Louis, too, right?
We sure did, Nikki. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that sounded like other things happened. You
No.
You currently have one of my dogs.
Yeah. What's her name again? Oh, that's
Marion. How is she doing? She's been there a week now without me, and I want to check in on her.
Well, she's doing great. Actually, she's finally gained a bunch of weight, which she needed.
Shut up. Don't say that I was starving my dog.
The standards here are
she's
different.
looking good. You know how Nikki is, you guys. She's so worried about 1 teaspoon more of food a
Because
serving.
a
I'm like,
teaspoon more of food to a dog that weighs 4 pounds. Like, my parents have 50-pound dogs. So I go, you need to feed whatever you feed Wiley and cut it in 10. In tenths. 1/10 of it. And it feels like you're just giving her nothing, but you wouldn't feed a hamster a bowl of food. She's the size of a big hamster.
No, actually, I would feed a hamster more than your dog eats. I'm not kidding.
I know.
And she's starving all the time.
Well, she is still young and needs to keep her figure.
It'd be so funny if you changed her name.
And I'm scared of her choking, to be honest.
Yeah. You changed her name to Nikki too.
I know. I'm just like a lot of women who suffered with eating disorders. Like I have often starved their children because they have control over and their pets and stuff. And so I've always been really hyper aware that I don't do that. So I've in a lot of ways overfed. Like when I babysat for kids, I'm like, have more food. Like I just don't want my weird habits to run off rub off on them. So maybe I've done that to my dog, but I just don't want a skinny dog. I hate a skinny dog, but Marion's not. I feed her enough, right, Andrew? You don't think
Let's go to break. No, I think you no, but you're very particular about how much she eats.
But
like what they eat. No, but you're good. No, you feed them twice a day.
Because
I probably gave them too much food. Probably.
But they were never overweight, but they have been in the past, and I've been scolded by other dog walkers.
Really?
Yeah. You know what? She's your dog now. Get her fat all you want. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
She's ugly anyway. Make her fat too.
What the hell?
Yeah. Marion's ugly as shit.
Someone took the heel.
Put Marion on.
I know she's sitting there looking at
Tell her I hate her.
Does Marion get along with the big dog?
Yeah. How's that going?
Oh, yeah, they get along great. Wiley loves Marion.
Okay.
He's being really nice. We're breaking her of sleeping in our bed, though. That's it.
I know, isn't it too much? Imagine two of them in one bed with you.
I would not imagine that. That would not work.
Yeah, that was my life.
And she's being okay. I thought, well, she was already down at the river, and she learned not to get up on the bed there.
She can learn not to be on the bed. When you tell her to do something, she'll fucking do it.
She's a good girl.
Yeah, she's smart.
Mom, we have Dan Reichert in studio. I don't know if you remember Dan. He's an old college friend of mine.
Hello.
I remember the name for sure.
Dad remembers him as Old Crow or something. Not Old Crow, but like a Wild Crow.
No, it's Old Crow.
Was that the type of whiskey
it was
you drank?
$7 for a liter, and so instead of paying $5 for a cup at house parties, I would just bring a liter of Old Crow.
Of Old Crow. So my dad was visiting one weekend at Parents' Weekend or something, and I introduced him to Dan, and Dan had a bottle of Old Crow, and so my dad was like, the Old Crow guy.
At graduation.
But
well, I'm surprised I didn't really hang out with you.
Yeah, you guys would have been two peas in a pod back then when Dan was a guttural alcoholic. That's a Rachel Feinstein word. No, Mom, you. I want you to sit in on this because I wanted to hear Dan. Dan is an old Dan and I met when we were both sophomores at the University of Kansas. He got me the job at that call center. Remember that I worked at for a while.
Oh, right.
What is it called? The
KU Endowment Association.
Endowment Association. Yes, every school has one, and they hit you up for money after you. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Those are students in a call center having the goddamn time of their lives. Anyway, Dan got married last year, and his wedding, he entered a contest to have his wedding paid for by...
Well, Taco Bell opened a wedding chapel in Las Vegas, on the Las Vegas Strip. Yes, so they wanted to kick things off with like the first couple to get married at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And so I, for many years now on podcasts, have talked enthusiastically about my love of Taco Bell. I pretty much grew up on like McDonald's and Taco Bell. Like I was in candy. I was obsessed with all those things.
Yeah.
What's your go-to Taco Bell order?
The first thing, I always get the chicken quesadilla. That does not ever change. Tons of fire sauce. And then I'll get like a cheesy gordita crunch and a triple layer nacho.
That's fantastic.
I like the cheesy roll-up. I know a lot of people don't like it. I love the cheesy roll-up.
I like the cheesy roll-up too, but it's just like it's just another quesadilla. That's
but there's
small,
something special about it. Like everyone's like, oh, you could just make that at home with a tortilla and cheese. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't have that Taco Bell love.
I agree with you with like Starbucks. Like people are like, just get a coffee and put some soy milk. I'm like, you don't understand what's in their soy milk. There's some GMO shit that I need.
The way that the Taco Bell like grills things too is a very specific flavor.
Yes.
Like I'm into it.
You ever get a Mexi Melt?
Yeah, they're good.
Fucking amazing.
And all their gimmicky new things they come up with, like the quesalupas and all that stuff, or the double dia. Like I'm a sucker for all
Give me a
those
soft
things.
taco with sour
good too.
cream. Yeah, the number 2, I think.
Okay, so this wedding.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
We have 3 minutes before the end of the show. Let's zip through it.
Short version. I've been talking about Taco Bell for years. So Taco Bell announced this this contest, like, hey, make a video about why you want to be the first couple married to Taco Bell. I had a ton of listeners of like the Giant Bomb podcast and stuff tweet to me like, you've got to enter this. This is perfect. And it was Valentine's Day dinner I was having with my now wife, and I said like, hey, do you want to do this? And she was game for it totally. And I went home to ask their parents before we recorded the video, like, hey, I just kind of feel like because of the way my life has gone with weird shit happening, that if we enter this contest, I think there's a legit chance I might win this. So I want to make sure before we even enter it that you are okay with me marrying your daughter in a Taco Bell. And they were like, yeah, that sounds great. And I'm talking to them now about it, and they're like, oh, we didn't really think you were going to win.
Right.
And then sure enough, stuff. Yeah, it was like people had to vote for it, and so I got a bunch of votes and stuff, and then it got down to the final 10, and then that was decided from the Taco Bell judges, and so the Taco Bell judges were in my favor, I guess. And so, yeah, they flew us, our parents, out to this Taco Bell. Had the best Taco Bell we've ever had in our lives because they knew there was going to be, like, press people taking photos of it for, like, press kits and stuff. And they flew in these models from L.A., these dudes with, like, Taco Bell bow ties, like, with silver platters with, like, little silver bowls of nacho cheese and quesadillas. And if you Google Taco Bell wedding, you'll see all the pictures and stuff. It's
incredible.
And like, they sent me and my dad to a Migos concert. Like,
what?
That's a whole other story. I don't think we have enough time. A bunch of bells and whistles came with the thing. That's why it was such
How many
expensive.
friends did you have there? How many loved ones?
There were 6, including us, that were sent out on Taco Bell's dime, and we were able to get like 12 or 15 total.
I see
people
Taco
in
Bell
there.
weddings. This isn't you. Oh, there you
yeah.
are. Oh, that's so cute. Oh my God, that's a good picture.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice Taco Bell.
That's so sweet. Oh my God, I love it. And these are great pictures.
Yeah. They catered the wedding?
They catered it. Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, Dan, you look so happy. She's so beautiful.
She's
What a
amazing.
cutie. And you knew right away with this chick. How did you know via text right away? I mean, come on.
Just the way, the banter back and forth, you can tell, like, even without hearing her voice, it's just like, the way we're talking about, like, she's really into video games. We have a similar sense of humor. She loved, like, Norm Macdonald, like, I'm a huge Norm obsessive. And
oh my
it's like,
God.
everything
Girls,
here
if
is
you
great.
want to find yourself a guy, just pretend you love Norm Macdonald. They will feel like there's some special connection between you that could never be replicated with another woman.
It's true,
because
though.
every man wants to fuck Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald
so
is
desperately.
incredible.
Every man loves Norm Macdonald. Every man feels like they have a special connection to Norm Macdonald. No, there is something special about him, but every man. It is one of these guys that every comic loves, or every guy who is a comedy fan loves and has good taste in comedy, but they feel like they like him more than
I get him. I get Norm. Like, a lot of people don't get Norm. You know,
maybe it's not that, but
I've heard people say that.
It's just like he is the number one guy that every guy will lose his shit and would like dump you for to hang out with.
He's a fun hang.
I remember the one time I hung out with him. Sorry, I have to go. The one Norm Macdonald story, I hung out with him at like a Todd Glass's backyard once in 2008, and there was a kid there that Todd had flown in from Florida who was a fan of comedy, and Todd was giving him like this Make-A-Wish. The kid had cancer. I think he's still alive. He like beat it, but this kid was like hanging out with all these comedians. This like 10-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I can't even say the joke Norm Macdonald made, but the kid was like hanging out with all these pot smoking comedians, and Norm goes, "Wow, how old are you?" And he was like, "I'm 10." And he goes, "And you're cool with all this?" Norm's like hitting a bowl in front of him. And he goes, and the kid was like, "Yeah, I don't care." And he goes, "Wow, my kid's the F
Yeah.
And this was before Louis C.K. was like, "My kid's an idiot," my kid's an asshole. It was insane to hear someone say their kid is in a joking word. Obviously, he doesn't use that word normally, or maybe he does. But it was just it was a perfect usage of it. I let it slide because I don't like that word either. But okay, guys, we got to go. Check out Tom Takar's podcast, Stand By Your Band. Check out Dan Reichert's podcast.
Yeah, Painting the Stream and the Giant Beast Cast.
And check out Andrew Collins' podcast.
Happy Never After.
And check out our podcast. It's You Up with Nikki Glaser. You can find it on iTunes. Get your friends involved. This is how we're going to get people listening to the show. So please spread the news that we have a podcast now and listen to us on demand. It really means something to us and to Sirius at large, and it means good things for us. So thank you for all your support, Squirt Nation. We'll see you tomorrow. Squirt, squirt.
Bye-bye.
How long you psycho, your vertigo stick. While you in my window, baby, is sick. I want your love.
I want to feel this hug, goddammit. Let's go. Comedy Central Radio, the home for stand-up with hours and hours of comedy from our massive library. Comedy Central Radio, Sirius XM 95.